$350,000 you have to put up.
We're live.
We are
live recording. All right. Morning, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order. It's Thursday, January 16th, and it is 9 a.m. I'd like to acknowledge that our meeting today occurs on the traditional territory of the Stahlis. Any late items to introduce this morning? Seeing none, I'll go to our next item, which is approval of the agenda.
So I moved by Talon.
Moved by Councillor Faccio, seconded by Councillor Vital. Discussion. I'll call the vote. All in favor of the agenda, and that passes. Which takes us to committee of whole items for discussion. Corporate officers, their recommendation.
Yeah, so the recommendation is that council resolve itself into a committee of the whole.
So moved.
Moved by Councillor Vital.
Seconded
by Councillor Schweinbenz. Discussion on that. Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor. Committee of the whole. And our item is?
Item A is 2023 strategic plan update and 2024 year in review presentation. And I think our community services manager is going to take it away for us. Good, load it up.
Community Services Manager.
Talon, if I may just say, so the purpose of this presentation is obviously to show the achievements that staff has been able to make, in particular from the middle of June on, because we had challenges before trying to get these projects off the ground. And for council to be able to look at what's been achieved and kind of related to the former strategic plan and decide whether there's potentially maybe some priorities that may not need to be in the next strategic plan. So I do want to thank every staff member. I have their fingerprints all over it. Kaylee, from the visual perspective, she made it look very nice, and each department has done a great job of providing high-level information for council. And we're going to have Christy and Jace doing presentations. So I'll turn it over to Christy, and then we'll see your presentations.
The floor is yours, Christy.
Thank you. Is it clicking on your end, Tyler?
Wait a second here. Try that. Is it on?
This technical stuff.
Everyone?
I think you need to, does it need to be?
There you go.
Oh,
There we go.
Oh,
Okay,
right.
perfect. Thank you. So just starting off to highlight the strategic priorities that were outlined in the 2023 strategic plan, which guided the work of staff in 2024. The whole team across the board participated in a number of waiting for the slide.
That's your laptop.
It's on
Yeah.
that one. There we go. Okay. A number of educational achievements and trainings. There were 15 emergency management courses taken, 5 local government professional development training courses, 6 staff participated in change management training, 2 traffic control courses, 2 water or wastewater treatment courses, 1 irrigation course, and 6 Indigenous awareness training courses. Staff also went to a number of conferences to further their education and networking connections through the year, including the Rick Hansen Accessible Professionals Network, Municipal Insurance Advisors of BC, Resort Community Collaborative, Corporate Officers Forum, Local Government Management Association, Union of BC Municipalities, Public Works, and Asset Management. For the topic of emergency management, we hosted Emergency Preparedness Open House, increased our communications regarding emergency preparedness. We have a resident's guide to emergency preparedness in a draft form, hoping to be finalized in early 2025. We also had fuel management prescriptions developed for the Water Tower and Spirit Trail Loop. And the fuel management work was completed at the Water Tower site, and we have now just finalized permissions for Spirit Trail, and that work will be commencing very soon. We also had the SenseNet early wildfire detection installed throughout the village, and completed our new community wildfire resiliency plan, which updated the previous format of the community wildfire protection plan. Some finance highlights. We received the Canadian Award for Financial Reporting. In 2023, the village was presented with the Canadian Award for Financial Reporting from the Government Finance Officers Association for its 2022 annual report. This award recognizes excellence in governmental accounting and financial reporting and represents a significant achievement by a local government and its management. In approved application-based grant funding in 2024, the village was approved for $5,342,832. Some corporate services highlights from 2024. There was a by-election held in September, which saw a 58.76% voter turnout. This is a significant increase from the 2023 by-election, which only saw a 36% voter turnout. The official community plan bylaw was officially adopted in 2024. We were successful in remedial action against a nuisance property, which resulted in the demolition of a hazardous vacant dwelling. The council handbook was updated in September 2024, and the village issued 21 requests for proposals. For community services, a few highlights. The 2024 accessibility plan was adopted. A $25,000 local community accessibility grant was received, and that will be implemented this year in 2025. We also hosted a accessible parking awareness event in November 2024. Under the local government climate action program, the village supported the purchase of an electric truck for our utilities department. There were also 2 new Flow EV charging stations to replace the aged or broken Tesla ones outside Memorial Hall. And the Lillooet Avenue streetscape plan was funded. Through the RMI initiative, there were a number of events supported by the village in 2024, including a Family Day concert, Sasquatch Days, Canada Day, Bands on the Beach, and Lights by the Lake. Memorial Hall and special event bookings saw a revenue increase of 14.3% from 2023, with total funds generated being $10,220. For FireSmart projects, we hired a local FireSmart representative contractor who completed 37 home ignition zone assessments, and we issued 4 homeowner rebates through this program. Contract was awarded for the next 3 years of curbside collection service to GFL Environmental, and the Starlight Skating Rink concession and operations were run by Harrison Eco Tours, which was a RMI project. A number of committees and commissions were very active in 2024, including our Advisory Planning Commission, Environmental Advisory Committee, Age-Friendly Committee, and Accessibility Committee. We're looking forward to these doing more continued work in 2025, as well as Communities in Bloom, which will be getting started shortly. The village hosted a number of community events, including the Emergency Preparedness Open House in March, a Health and Wellness Fair in April, a 75th anniversary celebration in May, and a community open house in October. We also hosted some new and returning engagement activities for the community. There was a walking group, a rock contest, chair yoga, and the holiday light contest between summer to winter.
Thank you, Christy. So yeah, I'll provide an update on operations for the year. 2024 was a successful year for operations with capital construction projects and for maintenance throughout the village. Through this, as Christy mentioned, there was many RFPs issued and many contractors and consultants that were awarded projects and have been working with the village to provide capital construction projects, maintenance work, and also planning for future resiliency within the village. So one focus we've had this year in 2024 and throughout 2025 is master plans. There's been 5 master plans going on in the background, which include storm sewer, sanitary sewer, water, parks and trails, and civic lands. So storm sewer, sanitary, and water are updates to our existing plans. Those are being conducted by Water Street Engineering. Currently, those 3 projects are in the data collection phase. Through that, they're starting to do some monitoring around the village with our current infrastructure. And we are planning to have finalized reports for those ones done in early summer of 2025. Parks and Trails is being worked on by Lees and Associates. So you may have met them all at the open house that Christy mentioned in October. That was their first phase of engagement. With that, they also had a survey that went out. So this is a five-phase approach that they have, and they're currently in their third phase, which is their draft plan. So the draft plan is coming out to us, and they'll be reaching out in spring for the next round of public engagement, with early summer as a target date of completion of the project. Civic Lands has been worked on by Modus. They also attended the open house in October, and they had a design charrette that was hosted here in December. So that project is currently close to completion, and we're expecting them to provide an updated summary report of their findings to council at the end of this month. So there's 3 bus shelters that are planned for this year as part of the 2024-2025 program that we have. So the locations are highlighted there in the red circle dots. The first location is Lillooet Ave at Maple Drive. This location is a little bit west of Maple Drive, closer to Hot Springs Road. So we'll have a new shelter there coming in that looks similar to the image that's shown. The next location is Eagle Street at Naismith. So this location will actually be moving the bus shelter at Spring Park south. With the lift stations there, it was not an ideal location for the new shelter, and then also it puts a better gap distance between the 2 nearest locations, so it helps balance out that distance. With the third location being Emerald Ave at Hot Springs Road. So those ones we're planning on concrete coming in shortly, weather dependent, and then from there the shelters will show up by summer.
Sorry, do we pay for that?
We have a grant fund, but it's a shared partnership for funding. So the dike project, we're currently at the 30% design drawings for this one, with the focus being on the wastewater treatment plant access road and Rendell Park with an earthfill design. More consideration has been put towards design features for the beachfront. That one will be presented to council later this month as well. So I'll kind of leave the more detailed ones for that when the presentation comes, because I'm sure there'll be some questions for the consultants on that. Sorry, and also on that project, for timeline, it will just really depend on when and what kind of design we want to go to. But there is a lot of environmental permitting involved in that one, so it would be a longer time period based on the design. Hot Springs Road drainage is a joint project with the village and the ministry. They're 2 separate projects, but they're seen sort of as a joint project because it's a little hard to see in the image, but the ministry's project is along Hot Springs Road, and the north part of their project will have to discharge into the village's new infrastructure, which will then discharge into the Miami River. That the ministry and the village have both been working separately on designs, and we're about at the 90% detailed design phase, with construction targeted through the environmental window that's going to be permitted for that, which will be summer of 2025. So they'll be tendered out together.
Go ahead, Councillor Swan.
So thank you, sorry, Mr. Mayor, to Jace, do we need to do it during the summer?
Yes, we will. I know it's not ideal for traffic coming into the village, but the ministry gives a certain window of construction that we have to follow to do the discharge into the Miami River.
Well, 2 problems I see here. Number 1, it's a 10-week season for these businesses to make money. Any delay will frustrate tourists and visitors. That's number 1. Number 2, this is our prime time for potential wildfires. That's our evacuation route. There's got to be a better time.
We can have some further discussions with the ministry and see what other options are available, but that was just what they had indicated to us.
Councillor Fancher.
Just through you to Councillor Schweinman, in the past, many years before you arrived here as well, we had construction on Hot Springs Road, especially when a new bridge was being built here. The Miami this, all traffic was diverted down McCombs, which is a straight drive right into the village. Boat launch, businesses, everything. So it didn't really disrupt any, as far as at that time, any businesses losing out at that time. And that was done during the tour, through the whole. It started in the spring and it went right through the summer. We had to put a temporary bridge over the McCombs Bridge as well with traffic lights to accommodate that. But that was and McCombs, of course, is a great route for the boat traffic because they go straight to the boat launch. So at that time, I'm just giving some example that it didn't disrupt the businesses and it didn't disrupt the resort hotel either.
Thank you, Councillor Fascio. Jace, could you give it, I know you're only at a 90% design phase. Any estimate that you have on what the construction period would be for this is it a 3-day, 3-week, 3-month project?
It'll be a large project. It's a long stretch that they have to do, and there'll be paving involved. So we've had preliminary discussions with the ministry and their project management company that's running it for them. So I can continue the conversation and provide a bit more of an update on some scheduling and sort of the impacts. But we have been working with them to look at the traffic and how we can consistently maintain at least a single lane alternating traffic throughout there, with potential optional detours through McCombs, but that's still to be determined.
Is construction normally through weekends, or is it would they like obviously the weekends are busier time?
Yeah, they're really trying to work with us, and they know the traffic concerns, so they're doing everything they can and will kind of provide schedules. So it's a good time to discuss it because that can be worked into the contract before it actually goes out for tender.
And I know there's some flooding issues on Hot Springs Road at the south end. Will this project help those residents? Hopefully future with, because I see hoses along the roads and stuff like that.
That is,
some pumps run fierce.
Yeah, that is the intent, because there are some drainage issues in the whole corridor there, so we want to work with the ministry to try and provide options.
I guess in a drier season, it's easier to, okay. Councillor Vital, I think.
Thank you, Mayor Talon. Through you to Jace. I think that it would be imperative that we develop a communication strategy once that time frame is established. It's been my experience that people don't mind having traffic delays as long as they're aware that it's happening. So thank you, Mayor Talon.
Councillor Swan,
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Talon. I would highly recommend if staff could look at doing this after Labor Day. The two reasons I mentioned, the wildfire evacuation route being compromised and businesses and tourism and visitors being compromised. During November and early December, there was a gas line being replaced on Harrison Hot Springs Road. And that in itself was a problem for people getting in and out. There were delays, even the night of the fireworks. For some reason, on a weekend, they were down in one lane for a lot of that day. So this is a real issue. Businesses only have 10 weeks to survive in some cases. I'd highly recommend we do it after Labor Day. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Swan. Let's please continue.
Thanks.
Director of Operations.
So lift station 1, looking at our sanitary sewer upgrades that we're working on this year. This project is currently at 90% complete. So we've had a new slip line wet well installed with new pumps, electrical components, and a pad mount transformer. This project is set to have BC Hydro do their connection this week, with commissioning of some of the equipment starting next week. So we're nearing completion on this one. Lift station 4, 5, and 6, an issue for tenders drawing set has been completed, and we've currently posted the opportunity on BC Bid. This is for lift station 4 and 6, and then 5 will be determined after budgets have been established, and then we can work on through the design for 5. But Tentatively, we have the project scheduled for late winter into spring. We'll have a better idea of this once the bid closes and we have electrical lead times from the contractors. McCombs Bridge. So this project is a top priority for the village, and we've been working hard to get this moving forward. It's been split up into two contracts. There's the utility relocation work, and then there's the abutment repair work. Both projects have now been awarded, and we are just waiting on timelines for approvals for environmental permitting so we can start that. It has been pushed forward through the province and DFO as emergency measures. So we're expecting a quick turnaround for that. I just had a meeting this morning with them, and yeah, we're expecting to get some permits very soon, and once we answer a few more questions.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just wanted to highlight the efforts that Jace has put in with our consultant team to get the environmental permitting. It is typically a 2-year timeline, and we've been able to, Jace has been able to express the challenges that we're having there and the need for the village, and been able to narrow that down to about a 2-month timeline. So I just wanted to make sure we thank Jace for his efforts.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I think with the last subject, having our McCombs, this bridge back to full service before the construction on Hot Springs Road is would be a priority, I think, for.
Definitely agree with you, yeah. So the village healthcare is another project that the village is really trying to push forward quickly. We have detailed designs complete now for it, which includes office space, waiting area, washroom, and we have the RFP ready to be issued with the closing date of February 5th. So once it closes, we'll have a good idea of timelines, and we're hoping to get that moving as fast as possible and put an emphasis on a quick turnaround for contractors.
Swoopy.
Certainly Fraser Health is very eager to get projects going, as are others. So I'm happy to see the RFP going out in the next couple of weeks.
Spring Park, there's been many delays through permitting and construction, so we face a lot of challenges, but I'm happy to say that the washroom building did arrive on site yesterday. So the next steps are that grading around the site, hooking up utilities, and some concrete for the ping pong table and the water fountain. So yeah, we've seen many issues, but we're excited to see the project moving forward and during.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. And again, I do want to express our mutual frustration as council has been asking for, well, I guess it's now 2 years. Finally, we're here. So I just want to express my thanks to council for their patience, and again, Jace for his efforts to get this project completed. So thank you to everyone.
Councillor Vital.
Thank you, Mayor Talon, through you to the operations manager. Once again, do we have any time frame for full completion? Quite often what happens is when the family day long weekend is here, that's when we do see a lot of families and children. So just if you have any idea.
Yeah, so we're really pushing the contractor to do the finishing work, which we're hoping for a few weeks to complete that work. There will be a lot of grass and landscape repair that needs to happen. So some of that will kind of come as spring comes in better weather, but we will have it open and usable as soon as possible and cleaned up to the best as possible with the weather conditions.
Okay, thank you.
Please continue.
McCombs Water Main. So design, a preliminary design is complete for this one, and we have a cost B estimate. So with this design and cost B estimate, we're now able to apply for grant funding. So we are looking at different options and revenue streams for this, and we're hoping that we can find a grant that can cover this, because that would be a great asset for the village to have water and fire hydrants down McCombs.
Also, this sort of complete having fire hydrants from one end of McComb to the other.
Yes, that's
so
correct.
it fire abatement.
Yeah, so we're looking,
All those good things.
yes, so we're looking for different grant funding under that sort of stream. Little West beautification, so we have initial concept designs and precedent images for ideas here. We have a landscape architect who is hired and working on design refinements for this. The area has been set up into primary, tertiary, secondary, and tertiary nodes, and looking at planting, trees, and seeding opportunities here. So we're excited to refine designs and come back to council with some ideas.
Councillor.
Carry on.
Schweinbeck.
Oh, thank you.
Full hands.
Mr. Mayor, Director of Operations, thank you. This is before my time, I think, so I'm looking forward to seeing more detail on this. I don't know if we're talking about this today. I'm really glad to see this proceeding. Have we engaged any of the residents and business owners along that street? Whenever I'm going to get a pizza or a pho, they always talk about what's happening, and I'm not so sure that they are aware of this. So has there been any engagement along Lillooet West?
Not at this time. That is in the intent of the project. We're just very early. The consultant we were working with had a changeover in staffing, so a bit of delays in getting a landscape architect on board, but one is now on board and starting to look at this project. So we have some general concept ideas, and then once we can do a bit more refinement, we'll engage public and business owners so we have a better idea, and with council how we want to proceed with designs.
Thank you.
Councillor Patrick.
Thank you, Your Worship. Will this refit, as I call it, of that side of the street be done this year?
Likely not. We kind of want to have an overall vision of the entire area. From there, once we bring it to council, then we can look at how we want to go about it, because we might want to look at different funding options or grant funding, and if maybe, yeah, different streams. So
maybe some of this could come under the RMI part of this. And also the two on the south side with the sidewalk that was built by the Romans. Will that be part of this funding? To ask for funding to do that as well?
the intent would be
To
for,
replace that sidewalk on the
Yes.
south side?
Yeah.
And then the two areas that have gravel, which is temporary, I assume, could that be blacktop this year?
yeah, we could do blacktop if we get into the design. That's something we want to add. It could be
I'm
blacktop.
just referring to the two areas we have on the south side, that's gravel
Yes.
for the paid parking.
Yeah.
If that could be gravelled, I think that would be a big, a start to cleaning that up. Because eventually this side, this new side, when it's complete, it won't have any parking on that side.
Yeah.
It'll just be a boulevard of trees and benches and
Walkway,
people
yes.
can walk along, and of course the sidewalk. Oh, great, that's good. Okay, thank you.
Laguna Walkway, so the pathways upgrades have been complete, with new gravel being placed. Trees have been cleared. You can see in the image there of the views that are now open to the lake, and just having better views as you walk around. New site furnishings have been placed. You can see the large chair there. That would be a great photo op, and we're excited to kind of bring some fun, different site furnishings there. There'll also be cornhole in the back for more games along the beach, and new benches, timber benches, and our standard bench that go around the walkway for added seating. And then the next portion of the project is the southeast corner, kind of by the parking lot. And we've been working on trying to get environmental review done on that to see how we can proceed. I had a positive conversation this morning with ministry, so we're going to be looking at trying to get that moving as well for doing pathway upgrades in that area. Boat launch building is currently about 75% complete. Cabinets are being put inside, some finishings inside, and we are targeting completion of that for early March, with weather dependent.
Councillor Patrick.
Thank you, Your Worship. Well, this, when it's completed, and it's a concession, I believe, is it not?
There's currently an RFP out for an operator boat launch, and then from there, I think we're deciding the usages of it.
Would that be a concession, that new plant?
It could be, yes,
It
and
would be a great idea to put that out
Yeah.
to the chamber and to open it up to anybody who would want to take it. That'd be a great place if somebody owns something up there during the, say, from March till October, you know, especially for the boaters, and revenue for the village.
See,
Yeah, thank you, your worship. Yeah, we spoke about that, items like toilet paper and, you know, the necessities when you get to the boat launch and you forget, because of course, everybody's coming from Agassiz or beyond. And certainly that is a consideration. There would be no reason why we couldn't offer that type of service for sure.
Councillor Vital.
Thank you, Mayor Talon, for you two are CAO. I'm excited about this project, and should we look at some kind of a concession stand, we may also want to consider putting in our the availability of some things that boaters may need. I know CAO, you and I have talked about this, whether that was, you know, last minute ice or something that that boaters have forgotten, or fishing equipment or whatever. But I'm glad to finally see this project come into fruition. Thank you.
Director of Operations, with this area, and I know you just, the previous slide spoke to the southeast corner by the parking lot, and working, getting permits. Are there any opportunities for a kayak or canoe dock and launch and anything like that in the area? Because the boat launch itself isn't ideal for personal watercraft like that. It's the wrong type of dock, it's too high off. Are there any opportunities for that? Is that on anyone's radar? If it isn't, I'd like to put it on there.
That's great. Yeah, no, it's not currently on the radar, but it is a great opportunity, and we're always looking for different things we can add.
Yeah, thank you, your worship. If I may suggest that make part of the RDS plan that you and Councillor Jackson will be part of. You're on the committee, so that's certainly an opportunity for you to raise it then. But certainly, I have been exploring opportunities and areas for that very thing, and I think there is a huge opportunity down there.
Yeah, and if there's before that, just even launch, if there was, if thinking ahead to having some sort of secure area where people could rent or store. Because portaging down from it just, if you can do it, people, if it's easy and convenient, people will use those kind of things. I saw questions from, I think, Councillor Jackson first.
I just, when you talk about the business, it's very difficult to run a part-time business. I don't think you're, unless the village prepared to subsidize it, because you can't ask somebody to come in for 3 or 4 months, buy the inventory, put it in, and then hope it's going to sell. So that's something you have to be really, really careful of before that's done.
Yeah, understood.
Thank you.
Yeah, I see the challenges, but certainly I've seen vending machines sell almost anything. So I'm sure someone creative with the business plan might have vending machines for those last minute things. This might be a possibility.
That's a horse of a different color.
Yeah.
The vending machines could be there forever.
Councillor Smart.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A couple of things. I just want to support your idea about the boat launch and kayak launch. You know, and we talked the other day about maybe have some kind of a mat or a walkway down to the water to make it easy for people to offload the kayaks from the garage to their car and then into the water, and then vice versa. At the end of the day, a lot of local people have kayaks in their garage that aren't being used because it's difficult to launch. So if we can improve that. The other one is I get asked a lot about a dog swimming beach down in that area, and I'm wondering if there's room for that sort of thing.
I see a lot of hands going up. Councillor Fascio, what do you have something to say?
Down there again, why got half of the whole of Rendell Park residents were banging on the door.
Councillor Vital, do you have
This is on
something?
the other side.
Councillor Vital.
Thank you, Mayor Talon. You know, I'm always open for discussion, but as Council Facio said years ago, Rendell Park was permitted off-leash for dogs and access to the lake. However, what happened is there were dog fights and dogs were coming up and stealing people's picnics and generally disrupting the pleasure of families on Rendell Beach. I do think that sometime in the future, we should revisit a place for an off-leash dog park. That council has discussed this. I think as long as I have been on council. So I think for further discussion, as far as off-leash dogs for access to the beach, perhaps there could be a location, I don't know, but I would like to see us revisit this issue again sometime in the future.
Thank you, Councilor Brown. I've heard from many people a desire for an off-leash dog park somewhere in the village, not only for residents, but also for visitors coming in. Director of Operations.
On that topic, I know that our consultants, Leeds and Associates, have taken down a lot of notes on that, on the open house and the online survey. So we're excited to see what the recommendations are in summer and see if that may be something that comes on. And if it is, then that'd be a good time to discuss it.
Great, thank you.
Councilor
Just
Panther.
quickly, your worship, that the staff at the time did recognise 6 areas in the village they brought to council. But each of those areas, not in my backyard, everything just collapsed.
We will see. We'll revisit. I think there's opportunities for somewhere in the village for an off-leash dog park. Finding the right place, of course, will be the work. Director of Operations, please continue.
So if I leave this slide for last, with the accessible playground. So we're really happy with the results of this one.
Fantastic.
I think everyone was at the opening event, and I think it's been a great amenity for the community and for visitors. So we're really happy that that one's come to completion and is available for the public to kids to start using.
Wonderful. Kudos. Kudos.
Yay, thank you.
I would add that I would think ahead to seeing how well that's used and knowing how warm it can be on the beach on a summer day. If there are opportunities to look at a splash park or a spray park or something for summer months that would work in a sandy environment, I think we should be open to looking at ideas like that too, because that corner is just going to be a magnet for people with young families and young children.
I wanted to end with a couple of communications highlights from 2024. We saw a lot of really great increases. Our Facebook followers were up by 137 from 2023. We also really increased our online presence. So we posted 191 Facebook posts, which was up 95 posts from the year before. We also saw a 331.7% increase in our reach and a 113.7% increase in visits to that page. We started an Instagram account, which is still kind of just gaining some traction, but we now have 76 followers. And some of our top performing posts on there were about the Harrison Rock contest and the accessible beach playground. We also started using Get Into It Harrison again. We had 40 new registrations with a total usership of 636. The visits to the site were up 40% from 2023, and we added 13 projects to that forum. And then we also distributed some newsletters. So, we had 3 newsletters distributed in 2024. We launched a new resident resource guide. We updated our website graphics. And as previously mentioned, we created the village's Instagram. And then with that, I just wanted to come back to these overarching strategic priorities for Ron Poole to lead us into our session, just to kind of have these everyone's mind.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you,
Mr. Poole.
Well,
first of all, I really want to pat everyone on the back for the amount of work that you've been doing, especially in the last year here, and just how much you've accomplished on that list, and I guess still accomplishing, but I am shocked on just how much is moving in this community. So congratulations on everything that I've seen up there. That was really special for me to hear all that. That's all right. I think we're gonna pull up my presentation here. So what I've done is I've sort of revised our planning session today based on, you know, some of the input that I've had, and as well, a little bit of timing, trying to make sure we can get out of here today. And I know that some have some meetings this afternoon. So what I want to do is I want to do a bit of an introduction as we get into our planning for today. What I did remove out of here, if you look at the agenda that's on the screen, I mean, this smoke mirrors it, but I removed the SWOT exercise because that can take a bit of time, but it really is sort of a warm up. But we had a sort of a team building session yesterday again that went quite well. So I thought we'll pull that one out. But what I want to do is I want to go through today revisiting the plan you currently have in place with an eye on, do you want to keep it? Do you want to change it? And if so, do we start from the beginning or do you want to tweak it? So it's your plan. I'm just here to kind of facilitate you through the processes of the process of building it. We have the strategic plan update from your staff. Again, kudos to the presentation I saw. And then we get into the real meat and potatoes, which again is those strategic priorities. Everyone has a copy of the current plan in front of them, just so if you need to look at what we said last time we did this, it just helps prompt you. Then we'll get into what actions we want to look at as we go through the day. I'll dig into these a little bit deeper on what you should be focusing on. And then in the end, we're going to identify what the goals are. So if we're trying to achieve something, the question is why? What are we going to get in the end? What is the community going to look like or achieve? So I believe I used this slide last time because I think it really resonates well when it comes to planning. If you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. But for what I'm seeing here today is there's a very clear line. You guys are strategically aligned, both administratively and at elected level, and stuff gets done when you do that. So it's incumbent on council to set that vision for the organization, and so that staff see that you guys are guiding this pathway, and they're helping through their work to achieve those goals. So our purpose here is to identify and foster a common understanding of the issues facing the municipality and establish a strategic approach to addressing our most important opportunities and challenges. By the very nature of why council sits here, it's because you also know what the community needs, because the understanding would be you're conversing with the public, the people who actually voted you in here. The second purpose of identifying these priorities is to inform the allocation of financial and human resources, provide clear direction to staff, and align decision and policies of the municipality with your collective vision for the future. So one of the things that I always want to put a bit of a caveat on is don't dream beyond your boundaries. Like there's kind of an area, if we can't build a $40 million arena, does it make sense to even throw it on the list? So it's not just a wish list, it is strategic priorities, which is why it gives it the name. And as we know, the strategic plan does not get into the nitty-gritty, right? It gives the high level vision of providing core services to the community. Services such as delivering clean water to households, picking up garbage, providing planning and building services, or delivering recreation services. Rather, the strategic plan identifies key focus areas to guide budget deliberations and allocation of limited resources within the district. So the fact that you're doing this now ties in really nicely with the fact that you're gonna have to approve a budget by May 15th. So if there, I'm sure you've already started that process, but you're still, you know, able to tweak it or recognize maybe what you're thinking of putting in that budget as a goal. So again, making sure finances, capacity and resources all fit what you're thinking you would like to do this year or over the course of the plan. So the planning model really looks at developing this vision. And when I say with staff involvement, there's the operational side that always needs to kick in. So you set those goals and staff comes in later, you know, whether it's at committee meetings or council meetings on how that can best be achieved. That's why we don't want to make decisions at a strategic planning session, is because we don't have all the information on how to do something properly. That will come. The next step is aligning and prioritizing strategic goals and initiatives with your vision. Just talked about that. And also ensuring that what the staff bring forward as a business plan aligns with where you said you wanted to go. What I really like to see too is the amount of plans that you had. I think you were revising 3 of them. Water,
3
sewer.
updates and 5 in total, yeah.
Yeah, so again, those plans are going to give you some direction on what to do, and they usually set them out as well on what are the priorities. And then in the end, measuring and reporting results, that's exactly what you just heard. Having that done every 6 months or whenever, I'm not sure how, you know, what fits into the workload or how often council likes that, but it certainly is good to revisit where you've been and, you know, sit back and say, okay, we have accomplished a lot. Because lots of times your council meetings are focused around the challenges you have, and sometimes we forget that we're actually getting stuff done. So every time we overcome these things, stuff gets moving till eventually they're completed. So here's some principles that I want you to keep in mind is don't get lost in the weeds. Again, we're not going to dive so deep. We're not going to resolve all the issues today, but we're going to identify them and talk about why we, or ways that we can achieve them. Focus high level, not prescriptive. Simple is better. Make it an achievable plan. I've been doing a number of these. I've got 4 more in the next month around the province, and some of them I'm looking at have over 100. You know, it's just, put it this way, it'll be interesting to see when they do their update, how many things actually got done and just how frustrating it might be that, that even for the staff, that's a huge workload. We know that. Is your community going through rapid growth and change? Those things need to be taken in mind. It was interesting to hear about traffic flows in the summer. You're right, you're a community that sees a lot of tourists. You know, those things impact you. Should our focus be on core activities or the new and shiny? And sometimes we get caught up in that, but don't forget your biggest assets are below ground. They're not technically above it all the time. And ensure our budget is considered when planning. We talked about that. You know, make sure you can fund what you'd like to get done, or in 2 years, it's going to sit there as incompleted or incomplete. So we're going to revisit your vision, mission, and values. And I've got that on the next slides coming up, but I want to give you an idea on what's the difference between them. So your vision is basically where are you going and what do you want to achieve in the future? So that's the long-term look down the road. Your mission as an organization is what do you do? What do you do as a local government? Because you're different than private enterprise. Who do we serve? And what do we want to accomplish? So when we look at the mission, those things are likely caught in the current one. You just have to say, do we like it? Do we want to change it? Because you are a new council. You went through a by-election, you have 2 new people on here, you now have to reform as a new council. Values, what do we stand for? What do we value the most? How will we conduct ourselves as we achieve both the vision and mission? So that's what we're going to start stepping into this morning. with an eye of getting into the priorities sooner than later. So vision statement describes your company's desired future state in the coming years. So commonly 3 or 4 or 3 or 5 years out. For a council that goes through a general election and pretty much stays, together, often if there's a by-election, I'm asked to come in and do a revision, which is kind of what we're doing here today, but you also have the choice of completely stripping it down and changing it. So I recommend do it for the term of your office. Because a new council comes along, a new election, and even if all 5 are back, you're still a new council. You're the new council for the next term. The vision says what your business will look like if it achieves its goals. It should be clear, concise, high level, and usually it's a single sentence. So I'm going to give you some examples of other municipalities and what they've come up with. A vision statement can also change as a business evolves and grows. So as your community changes, your vision can change for it. And that happens in a lot of communities, especially, I do a lot of northern communities where their one mill shuts down and suddenly the whole vision the next time they come back isn't in logging or lumber or those sorts of things. They're now focusing on something different. That technically it shouldn't be the case here, but so here's a couple examples of vision statements. Terrace is an inclusive, affordable, and vibrant community with a strong, diverse economy. We provide a high quality of life with abundant recreational activities, easy access to outdoor adventures, and we celebrate our rich culture and proud First Nations presence. One sentence but long, which you'll find a lot of these are. Stewart, smaller community, is a healthy, sustainable, and vibrant small community that has a diverse and stable economy where industry and tourism are both thriving and growing simultaneously while also respecting and protecting the environment. Now I put this slide on here. What is our vision? The village's current strategic plan vision, which is also in front of you, is a residential and resort community focused on maintaining an attractive, inviting village core with a strong commitment to maintaining the scenic qualities and environment and quality of life. That's what you said, I believe, 1.5 years ago. Is that still valid? So I'm just going to throw that out there to council. What are your thoughts on that?
Thank you, Mayor Talon, through you too, Mr. Poole. I know we spent considerable time developing the vision plan, but reviewing it now, I believe we should also include something with neighboring First Nations, our neighbors First Nations. Throwing that one out there.
I'm going to even challenge you more. Do you have wording for that? And if not, maybe just think about it, because the idea sounds good. How do you see fitting some wording in there?
I don't have wording for it as of yet.
Sure.
Councillor
Thank you.
Yes.
That's great.
Yeah.
I agree with Councillor Weigel. I think what the mayor reads out at the beginning of every meeting, that should be inserted in there.
That actually can become part of the beginning of the plan. I know we are also looking at adding a letter in there from the mayor this time, and sort of beefing it up a bit more. We certainly could put the introduction that the mayor puts out at each meeting.
Councillor Vital.
Thank you. Through you to Mr. Poole, maybe in the vision statement, something along the line and, welcome the continuing cooperation with our neighboring First Nations Stehelas, which the village is their traditional lands.
Right. I think Christie's making some notes.
Okay, good.
Good.
Yeah. And we'll figure out how to do
What you could do is you have a residential and resort community on the traditional territory of the Salish First Nations, focused on maintaining, going from there. And that would put it right at the top, on the top line.
Thank you.
Good idea.
That's the same, we all said that's what, yeah.
When I read this, and I've read it many times, and I read it now, you're making me read it and really think about it. It's an observation. I find the middle part, maintaining an attractive and inviting village core, kind of it's something about it that a little bit unbalanced, because I think we're not just focused on the village core, whatever that is. I believe that's probably the waterfront area. We're also really interested in maintaining the features of the rest of the village. And I think it just sort of lacks a balance as it's drafted, focusing on the village core and not the rest of the village.
Take out the coal.
It's just an observation. I see the balance, and I think I like the part in there that says we're residential and resort community. For me, it's providing exemplary services to residents and providing an outstanding visitor experience for all the things that visitors come here for. But just focusing on the village core like that without the rest, to me, there's it's not completely balanced. It's an observation.
Yeah,
I'm mulling on it because I've really been forced to read it today, and I've read it and I went, oh, that's lovely. I'll read all these vision statements, they're all lovely. I'm now really thinking about it.
Mr. Mayor, I would agree, because here we are talking about improving the look of our village core. It's frankly not that attractive in a lot of ways, so we don't want to maintain what we have, we want to improve. Make it more inviting.
Good point. It's not just maintaining, it's also enhancing.
Yeah,
I get it.
it's a lot more to do to make it more attractive, for sure.
Yeah, it's
So maybe let's, just to throw this out there a little bit, what we're looking at is removing the village core concept of it. And are you just maybe just focused on maintaining, or we'll look at whether it's maintaining or not, like an attractive community?
I think it's providing an exceptional visitor experience and maintaining and enhancing the quality of life for residents. And I'm glad we have a consultant here to help.
Well,
push these
I'm
just
gonna help
ideas.
facilitate. It's not here, but this is fine. This is usually where this goes. It's that's why it keeps it to one sentence.
Yeah.
Because it's just really tough to put it in there. But are we fine with the beginning? Because I'm gonna start writing some stuff here and we can still change it. A residential resort community. Good with that?
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
So
if you don't mind, well, I've got this on my mind, I do think we should pay homage, sorry, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
We should pay homage to visitors. We welcome, people don't realize, we welcome visitors from around the world. And they cannot believe how beautiful an area we live in. Not only from around the world, but all the residents around here have aunts, uncles, kids that come visit them from all throughout the region and all throughout Western Canada. Like, I think the word visitors should be on there, or tourists, welcoming visitors, because that's integral to our community. As much as some people may want to say they don't want tourism and all that kind of stuff, but they still get visitors visiting them. They want to be able to they want to be proud of what their visitors see in their communities.
With something like providing an exceptional visitor experience, kind of.
Yeah, exceptional visitor.
It's a vision that we want it to be.
Chrissy's brought up a good point. I do know that we mentioned visitors in the mission statement. But we're not there yet. It's just, I know it's in front of you. It's the page 2 mission. But I don't know if that's adequate enough.
But our vision should, I think, again, pay homage or acknowledge that
I'm kind of mulling something over, and perhaps this is kind of, from what I'm hearing, what council is saying is, perhaps a residential and resort community situated on the traditional territory of Stehelas is focused on a strong commitment to tourism and maintaining the scenic quality and environment and quality of life.
Something like that. It's kind of.
Something.
Who's gonna help me with the Stehelas?
S, capital S T, small s, apostrophe A I L E S.
Apostrophe.
Apostrophe now, yeah, apostrophe A I L E S. Think that's right?
I like the exceptional visitor experience. We all get visitors to our county.
And it's our vision, we want it to be accepted.
Yeah.
And we want to maintain the
And
quality, maintain and enhance the
Could be
quality of life
instead-
for residents.
Instead of tourism, it can be visitor experience maybe.
I like
visitors,
visitors.
yeah, I like visitors too,
Yeah.
because
I like visitors.
we all get visitors from our.
Were we good with what Tyson had said? And feel free to use your hands, right?
Yeah.
Because this is the thing, right? Is going back and forth. Did we like what he said with a few tweaks? At least he gave me a sentence.
Looking for answers today, oh my goodness.
And Mr. Mayor, what
Go
about
ahead.
shooting high too and saying that our vision is, we want to be the best little village to live in BC. Like shoot high and just, demonstrate our commitment to being the best. Because we have the potential to be the best place to live. In British Columbia.
More, that's more, if I understand you, that's maybe more of an objective, like an outcome. Which might be one of these other statements. But I don't take issue with it. I don't know if it's a vision or if it's an outcome or a sort of a goal. Can I simplify the language?
Absolutely.
Resort community on the traditional territory? Just, you don't need the word situated.
So take this out.
No, a residential resort community just on.
You're in a situated, yeah.
Because I know the sentence is gonna be long already.
Yeah.
And then comma or something that provides an exceptional visitor experiences for visitor, I don't know, active voice, passive voice, provides an exceptional experience for visitors and something for
Along with a
residents.
strong commitment to maintaining.
Councilor Fashler, do you have the answer?
No, I just want to make sure that we want to ensure accessibility for all visitors and residents now and in the future.
Yeah, I want to get to the residents.
Yeah.
Please go ahead, Councilor Fashler.
Thank you, Mayor Talon. I also would like to see something included regarding the recreational opportunities that are available. Mr. Poole, help me out.
Because we are
Well,
the
I'm trying to
gateway.
think how we're gonna get residents and recreational. Is there any other thoughts before we?
I want the residents need to be in maintaining and enhancing the quality of life for residents or something, maybe that's more outcome.
I like recreation in there too, because we are the gateway to a beautiful lake with lots of recreational opportunities.
Yeah.
Well, do we want the recreational to be in here? Exceptional recreational
Yeah,
experience? I mean,
sure.
most of the stuff is outdoor.
Let's throw that in there.
We could have saved ourselves a lot of the discussion by just picking up the Here's Harrison magazine.
To visitors, and then what about our residents?
Visitors, I would like visitors and residents, because all of our residents partake.
for sure.
Right, so, okay.
Okay, a residential and resort community on the traditional territory of the Stehelas that provides an exceptional recreational experience to visitors and residents
It's not the Stehelas, it's just Stehelas.
on territory of Stehelas.
It provides an exceptional recreational experience to visitors and residents with a strong commitment to maintaining.
Enhancing the village core.
Yeah, do you want to keep that in there? The maintaining the attractive and inviting village village?
I like where this is sort of sitting. Focusing on the core in the absence of another focus for the rest of the village, again, gets that, it just seems out of balance to
Maybe
me.
that'd be intermission.
Yeah. Councillor
There's
Jackson.
a problem with this because you
Yeah.
see what you're doing is you're putting the visitors ahead of the residents. And I think we have to, it's kind of maintaining the quality of life for our people who pay the taxes.
Mhm.
I do know there are people here that get quite annoyed about too many tourists. It's our economic engine, but we must remember our duty here as a council is to the people who live here and pay the taxes.
Can I take your point, like the order, a suggestion just off the top of my head. So right where that provides an exceptional quality of life for residents. And maybe an exceptional recreational experience for visitors or something to that.
Or for all.
But flip the residents up first as a quality of life kind of thing. Does that make sense?
Okay, so say that again,
Okay.
right after exceptional.
Exceptional, and so exceptional quality of life for residents. Because it's not just the recreation, it's the whole quality of life, I think. At least I enjoy the whole aspect. Exceptional quality of life for residents and how about an outstanding visitor experience? Or something or exceptional, whatever.
You could use the word creative
How would you use it?
experience, because that's what it is.
Creative experience.
Come here.
Creative does speak to
Yeah.
our history of arts and music and all that sort of thing.
Creative experience for visitors.
Well,
That makes sense.
How about just for everyone? Why
Yeah.
make the distinction between
All different.
residents and visitors?
Well, and we lost the recreational. if that's
Yeah, the
important.
recreationals.
You've got it, that it's a Stehelis that provides an exceptional quality of life for residents, and we kind of got a creative.
Something, is this focused on visitors? So we just
And,
spoke to the residents.
yeah.
I think this portion might be, if you've talked about the quality of life for the residents already.
So can we add that?
Sure.
We're going on to the visitors next, right? We've done the
Yes,
residents.
I think,
Why don't we add then to ensure accessibility for all visitors now and into the future?
accessibility.
I think the,
Yes.
Go ahead,
Your worship, I think the proper language would be inclusive.
Yeah.
Whatever, I'm going by our little magazine here that we asked, that we put together.
I'm looking for another, that's fine,
Yeah, go ahead.
inclusive, but we need another analog to exceptional. Some adjective that builds us up.
Outstanding, great.
Standing, yes, great.
Or even
something. These are better words. I think we're getting lost in the weeds a little bit.
Well, you're kind of there, you gotta be short here anyhow. You
Yeah.
can't, a run-on sentence, if we go too far, but,
And
and an outstanding.
How about that outstanding visitor experience, outstanding.
Sure.
Voice, passive voice, outstanding,
World experience.
visitor experience or world class or something, I don't know, there's lots.
Outstanding inclusive, slide or comment inclusive.
For all visitors, would that cover it without using the word inclusive?
Oh.
Outstanding, experience for all visitors. I like shorter words.
Yeah.
All right, what we've got so far is a residential resort community on the traditional territory of Stehelis that provides an exceptional quality of life for residents and an outstanding experience for all visitors.
That's it.
That's it.
Done. That's it.
I'm good with that.
just,
Go.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, just.
Go ahead.
Just so that we're not gonna offend neighboring nations, are we sure we're on the Stehelis? Has that been
Yes.
accepted by
Yes.
Seabird and others?
That's a
It's a
problem.
good question, as we understand it today.
Yeah.
They've organized themselves in a way that we are, Stehelis, this is their primary area to speak with
So
them.
they're call it, their neighboring nations accept that.
That's what we understand of how they've organized themselves.
Okay.
If it
Yeah.
changes, then we would change that, but that would be an
I
internal
just
matter
don't want to
for-
take anybody off.
for the local.
Well, I believe every 2 weeks you recognize Staheless.
Yeah, with that we,
So
yes.
it's lasted and nobody said anything.
It's actually recognized by the province, actually.
Is that by the province as well as the city? Okay.
We'll take those up later. All right, good. That was a good. See,
Should we
this,
take,
that's why
should we
you,
take a 5-minute break after such success? Just before we
actually,
get-
Cole, do you want to take a break?
I need a bio break, quick one.
Okay,
Can I,
yeah.
suggest what time is it now?
10:10?
10:10, can we come back at 10:20 and reconvene?
Yes.
Okay.
Sure set that up.
Amanda,
I
do we
gotta
need
catch
a
these
motion?
thoughts.
People online, it's a 10-minute break. I'll call.
Order?
And turn the floor to Mr. Poole.
Great. Well, we got through that one, which is good. You guys, again, this goes back to how well you've been working together to. So the next section, of course, is the mission. And the mission statement describes the fundamental purpose of the organization. So in a sense, what do you do as a local government? It answers the question, why does the organization exist? It should be clear and concise, again, ideally a single sentence or two at the most. And in your case, it also rarely changes, you know, unless your business has a new business line or fundamentally alters its direction. You know, for years, your water, your sewer, your roads, your recreation, your public safety, those sorts of things are core. They always have been, and they always will be. But businesses can tend to change, right? So it's a little different in the corporate world than it is in local government. So some examples I've used, Kamloops, and these ones aren't the ones that I've done. That's why I pull them, because there's what others have been doing regardless. These aren't, you know, not necessarily the ones I've worked with. Theirs is, our mission is to be leaders and stewards by tackling important community issues to position the city for growth, vitality, and resilience to best serve our residents. Mission. The City of Mission provides sound leadership to its residents and local businesses to balance growth that provides needed amenities, local employment opportunities, utilizing a level of responsiveness that demonstrates exemplary service and efficiency that is the envy in the Fraser Valley.
That's impressive.
That's all a mission means.
Sorry, I didn't quite get that. Sorry.
Their mission is to make other communities envious.
Look
Yeah. One way, interesting.
That's why I run the village in quite often, not the regional district, and we're the best.
And interesting, I know they had done theirs in-house, that some of the staff at Parkland and them led this, so it was good how they did it. But I never, when I saw this, I said, well, I have to use this in my presentation.
It's got me nice fingerprints all over.
It does. District of Stewart, visionary leadership and good governance that balances the expectation of core services with available resources while respecting the social, economic, environmental interests of the community. That one kind of really hits to the core of what they do as a local government, right? Weighing taxes, weighing services, you know, what's affordable. And, oops, yours, completed that fast. Yours is the Village of Harrison Hot Springs will provide exceptional leadership to its residents, businesses, and visitors through partnerships and the provision of effective community-focused services. How does that sound? Good.
Observations. Councilor Biden.
Thank you, Mayor Talon, through you to Mr. Poole. I can't remember what other examples you gave, Mr. Poole, but I really like the wordage and would like to see included something along the of good governance. I know we say leadership, but I think leadership and good governance are different things, so.
So maybe if we added businesses and visitors through partnerships, good governance, and the provision of effective and community-focused services.
I was thinking it might, sorry.
Go ahead,
It might fit well with provide exceptional leadership and good governance to its residents, businesses.
I think either one would work.
Okay, I better write this. Just in case.
What's this through partnerships? Is that necessary? Who are we partnering with besides
We often
ourselves
partner with Staheva on projects
and District of Kent?
and district.
Tourism, Festival of the Arts?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I like that because we're a small village. And I think we have to partner, and that's part of the reality of a small village. You can't do it all in-house. You need to partner with the district and others.
To its residents, business, where did we break in here? So far, everything that I'm writing is there, right?
So the village of Harris and Hot Springs will provide exceptional leadership and good governance.
Yeah. So we're dropped in.
I think I like it better there.
Councilor Jackson.
Leadership is good governance. So I really don't think you need them both. Because one's contradicting the other.
Yeah.
I mean, when you say you have leadership, you have good governance. When you have good governance, you have leadership.
Redundant
I see
statement.
what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay, I
To
would
make, to
rather,
make it flow better.
I like good governance over leadership.
yes, I was just.
If I had a choice, I would
I do too.
prefer
Okay.
good governance. I think it's the more
Yeah,
complete
so
phrase.
scratch out leadership.
They go.
Good with that, and just
And
Yeah,
provide the
exceptional leadership, just provide.
and provide good governance.
And provide good
I don't think you need the word exceptional. I think just good governance.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then could continue as it was.
Yeah.
And the rest of it's good.
I don't see, I think it's very clear. I like what it says.
If I write faster, don't be thinking.
We're done, okay, moving on.
This is your plan, and
Yeah, but, you know, we need them, and I'm like,
I like that.
I did not suggest this. That's okay, that's what we're here for.
of effective and community-focused services.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Good. While I take this, I'm gonna move this into values. So what are values? They're the standards, ideals, morals, and principles that we believe in. What behaviors do we value over all else? So we don't want a full list of 50 values, although you could go on forever. How will we conduct our activities to achieve our mission and vision? And how do we treat members of our organization and the community? That's what these values should reflect. So again, using Kamloops, they put in, we build trust in our council, organization, and community by being respectful, collaborative, accountable, purposeful, and optimistic.
Are you sure?
What?
Are you sure they're following that?
That's why I threw them up there. These values, you should live, put them that way. These values guide the work of council and staff. Accessible, accountable, transparent, integrity, inclusive, and respectful stewards. And Harrison Hot Springs, these are the ones that came up last time. Respect, integrity, accountability, positivity, collaborative, and communicative.
Good with me.
Do we need the word inclusive in there? They're all good ones, huh?
I like them. I think respect at the top is exactly right, and I think that's, as council, how we treat each other and engage with each other is how I see council treating residents and visitors alike. It starts with respect. And then good things happen from there.
I'm fine with it.
I'm good with this in this order.
Everyone's good with these?
I Anybody else?
Actually, this is the one that can always.
That's why I live by. They're drinking out. They're drinking out.
Good, I'll take that one out. Alrighty, let's keep moving here. So we already went through reviewing the strategic or an update on the priorities. But what we want to do here again, just as a reminder, is, you know, these words are used differently in plans. Some call them goals, some call them pillars. A majority of them call them priorities. My suggestion here is keep them manageable. Usually 4 is ideal. We went with 5 last time and no big deal. But where you start to get odd is when you identify 12 priorities and then you identify 10 things you want done under them. And again, is it realistic? So these priorities should encapsulate the important projects identified by the council, public, and staff. So as we go back to what Christy brought up on her PowerPoint, page 3 or 4, excuse me, shows you the priorities that were decided last time, and sort of again those buckets that caught the actions that we wanted done under them. So again, reminder, they're identified at a high level. Keep the list manageable. Don't get too deep in the weeds. So if we're talking about building something, let's not talk about how we're going to build it, who's going to build it, etc. That will come later because, again, as information comes forward, the plans always change. In the end, staff will use these ideas to develop operational plans that take into the account the budget capacity, previous studies, grant funding, etc., and bring it back to you, which is when you can start working on how this is going to happen. So we are thinking high level. We talked about that. Sorry, let's just go back here now. So thoughts now that we've kind of gone through this plan is if you look at page 5.
4.
Yeah, well, what happens is in 5 and 6, each of these priorities are broken down into the actions. So if you look at page 5, public safety, what you wanted done under there were secure second evacuation route, fire smart community designation, and flood protection. Now, what have we done there? Is there anything we've completed?
Fire smart.
Fire.
Mayor Talon,
Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
after creating this plan, some of the things had changed. So Fire Smart Community Designation is no longer a program that Fire Smart Canada is doing.
Right.
So that one kind of just needs to be removed, and different Fire Smart priorities could be looked at if that was something that council wanted to include. Flood protection is still ongoing, as Jace mentioned, with the dike upgrades, and then council is aware, but just so you know, this second evacuation route is still in progress.
Okay. So it's kind of your update there. So Fire Smart Community Designation no longer exists. So it's not a thing.
But, oh, really? But we spent a lot of money on the plan. Sorry, Mr. Mayor. Tudor.
So Fire Smart Community Designation used to be that the Village of Harrison Hot Springs could be designated as a Fire Smart community. It's not saying anything else about the wildfire resiliency plan or implementing of fire smart activities. There used to just be that we could put a sign up, basically, that would have said, the Village of Harrison Hot Springs is a fire smart community. They eliminated that program and went more onto a neighborhood level. So if there were different neighborhoods, like there could be a McCool Drive neighborhood that could get recognized, but it wouldn't be recognized on the whole community level, which is what the community designation was referring to in this
Right.
one.
But still, sorry, Mr. Mayor, my point is that we've made a lot of progress in making us more resilient, and we should celebrate that, and it should remain a priority, I think. Maybe it's named
It would just need to
differently.
be reworded for it to
Okay,
be
thank you.
accurate
I
to
still
what
think
is
it's a
capable of
priority.
achievement.
Councillor Vital.
Thank you. Perhaps along that lines, Councillor Heinrich, perhaps saying something along the lines of continuing fire smart principles. Does that cover it? For continuation of fire smart principles?
Initiatives, maybe?
Or initiatives,
Or
yeah.
resiliency, mitigation.
Certainly, you know, there's the safety aspect. I get where you're going. It sounds like there was a process in place to get the designation. The reality is we can't get the designation. So maybe a word change is this, if this is still a priority, like you said. I don't know, your wording around continuing with fire safe initiatives or whatever, fire smart,
I'm
whatever.
in my mind, I'm trying to combine the first two. And I think I don't, as a priority action, a second evacuation route is 5, 10, 15, or 20 years down the road. I think for this plan, knowing its life and what we're doing over the next couple of years, I think evacuation preparedness is important. And what that means, that includes having a second evacuation route or looking at those, but it also includes to me what we do now with the existing road in and out of, and how do we prepare ourselves, the village, for evacuation. So it's more, it's I think it's fire smart or wildfire resiliency or something like that, or something with preparing or anticipating community preparedness, awareness of evacuation and what that means.
Yes.
And that can include a number that obviously on the long-term horizon, but if this is a goals for us now, I think today, this summer, we need to do what we can to make sure the village is well informed about if we had to evacuate, how would we do it today?
Evacuation preparedness, is that what you're thinking of?
Yeah, or evacuation readiness, preparedness, awareness, something like
Strategy.
because we have to work with what we have today. We have longer term plans for secondary route, whatever that might be, if those come to fruition. But today, I think it's more immediate.
Preparedness, I think is good.
Emergency
Or
preparedness.
emergency preparedness?
Yeah, emergency.
I had the idea, I don't have the
preparedness.
words, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you guys are on the right track. So you're really looking for like a plan of some sort?
Well,
Like is
It's
it
a
an
priority,
evacuation
it's an
plan or a
action.
preparedness
what
plan?
actions
or-
are we gonna do? It's an action, so we're going to
Community readiness.
community wildfire evacuation readiness.
Preparedness.
something, Preparedness, something like that.
Yeah, I
That'd
think,
be okay? That's something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
getting at?
yeah.
Like, I want it immediate that it's something we can
Yeah.
work on.
Do you guys know what they're getting at? Cause they're gonna have to take this back and
Yeah.
and
well, I think
dissect it, so
I
it's good
think
to ask
there
the question.
seems to be a focus on wildfire. I think it should be
Yeah.
disaster preparedness
Yeah,
because
that's the
Okay.
word I'm looking for.
could be anything. It could be an earthquake, it could be a fire, it could
Okay.
be a flood,
Yeah.
it could be any.
Yeah, I think just disaster preparedness.
Disaster preparedness. And then can we have sub bullets? We could talk, because obviously wildfire and flood risk are top of people's minds.
Yeah, you can certainly keep it focused on the wildfire if you wish. It's just having the disaster or
I think,
maybe a different word for
I
disaster.
think disaster preparedness covers everything
I think so.
personally, without having too much else added to that. It's that whatever disaster comes, hopefully we're gonna be prepared for it.
I can accept.
Like as Ron says, we want to keep things a little bit simple instead of.
That's very high level.
That's what
That's
I've seen.
Yeah.
Compass and law.
I think what'll come back is when you guys have put it into a plan and say, here's how it might fit. Because you have an emergency preparedness plan already,
Yes.
right? So maybe that part of it should be updating, because usually they break it into sections, you know, tsunami or fire or earthquake. And maybe that is where it
What
needs to be.
about, sorry.
Go ahead,
What
Councilor.
about including disaster mitigation and preparedness?
Yeah. What steps we're gonna take, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
And mitigation could include flood protection as well.
Well,
Yeah,
there's a
or
lot
fire
of
smart.
fire smarting or extra hydrants on the coons.
Yeah.
Is
The dike.
prevention a better word than mitigation?
I don't know if we can prevent disasters.
Yeah.
I know we can mitigate them. Sometimes they're out of our control.
Yep. Okay.
A flood's a flood, it happens.
Yeah.
It's what you do
Well,
to
we're gonna try and
mitigate
prevent
the
it.
negatives. Right.
Okay, so disaster mitigation and preparedness. The comment was, is flood protection under that? Because you have it listed separately as if you're pulling it out and giving it its own.
I think it falls under that. It's an aspect of that, and if there's a,
So we don't lose it, we just know it's important and we're
if
gonna have
there's,
to.
if there's, I would expect that this would lead to specific activities. And those would include flood protection, fire, with all the things.
Everything,
we would-
yeah.
Okay.
Diking. Okay, so you've reduced this down to secure second evacuation route.
No, it's
No.
not.
Just
So
one,
it's all that all.
one
falls
action,
underneath.
one action is
One action
emergency or disaster mitigation
and
and
preparedness.
preparedness.
Perhaps there could be a focus on like the public safety with respect to, you know, RCMP or
Crime.
public service.
Crime prevention.
Like, fire service, that kind of thing. Yeah, crime prevention, that kind of thing.
Councillor Thatcher,
Like his worship mentioned though, we can't lose sight. It's a long-term plan to do with evacuation. We can't just throw it out the window.
It's not being thrown out the window, that's all part of the same.
So I mean, it's still there, but it's a
Yes.
longer-term plan, but we're prioritizing on the disaster. Yeah.
Mr. Mayor,
Councillor
I
Flannery.
don't know that if I can let this topic get away from me in this, at this point, and maybe this is a discussion or debate we have at another time. But the secondary evacuation route through the park still bothers me. And I see no practical reason how it helps us, and I really want to focus on the street in front of us. I was able to, a lot of the debate that we've had and discussions that we've had lead to the political reality in that we are supporting our local communities because of this route. I was at the Let's Let meeting last week, and I don't know his last name, Tyrone is his first name. He's the chief of the Stolo. He made a comment, and I don't want to I'm going to paraphrase, but he basically said, we're going to support Harrison Hot Springs in their need for an evacuation route through the park. And all along, I thought we were supporting them. So it's a concern, and I'd like to, at some point, talk about it. Maybe now's not the time, but.
Noted.
Well, we just reduce it down to one, but it's all inclusive. Is there anything, are you guys good with this priority?
Christie.
Yes, Christie, thank you.
Sorry, I'm trying to find the right words, but and with the changes in the emergency disaster management, I just don't want it to fall. And so I'm just trying to read the definitions right now of what differentiates an emergency and a disaster, but I don't think the word emergency should be lost. Just because it is the Emergency and Disaster Management Act, EDMA, and
Okay, there you go.
our
Emergency and
emergency, it's
disaster.
called our emergency program, which focuses on the mitigation, preparedness, response, and recovery.
So.
I'm not sure, I'm not sure. Just
Councillor Vital.
not to lose sight of that.
Picking up on this.
Yes, how about disaster mitigation and emergency preparedness?
I like that better.
Does that work?
That's good. I love that.
Yep.
Thank you, Chris.
Well done. Sorry, Ron, I noticed you still have secondary evacuation.
Well, this is what goes in the plan. This is just a reminder, we haven't lost this in case,
Will it be on the public?
no.
Because
Because
it's just-
everything, what you've done is you've actually expanded this list.
Yeah.
You've
We've
taken
taken
those two,
Taken
added
three,
in
put it
there
into one.
and everything else.
Councillor French.
That's what this is telling me. You
Well,
made it
that is
very,
up for another discussion. I want to leave it for another discussion, like Councillor Schweinberg just says. We cannot just lose sight, whether we like it or not. This has been a plan where the District of Kent started it. We got into it because it involved us as well. And our other colleague who sits on the emergency planning as well is our liaison. In regard, I'm referring to Councillor Vital, is our liaison. And like you said, Councillor Swine, but this came up when you went to the C2C. That will not be lost. That plan is together with the District of Kent, our neighbours to the south. And I think it's important, it may be under a different category, but like the Mayor said earlier on, we can't lose sight of this, but it's a longer term situation because of the environment, the province is so involved, the First Nations, and all those sort of things. So it's I won't agree to saying that we should hide it somewhere. The public has the right to know that, and it came from the public in Harrison originally many years ago. This evacuation route didn't come from the council, it came from the public. And they're still concerned to this day in regards to, like the Mayor says, we have to plan now for the top part to see how we get the folks down Hot Springs Road and wherever else we take them to get them out of the village as the main concentration at the moment. And the other plan, we should still continue working with the province and our neighbours for the route, whether you like the route, whether it works not, whether you can't. It's absolutely ridiculous with 4 feet of snow up there. I don't know, but I think we should, for the public, still have the right to know that we still have that on the radar. Let's put it that way. That's my spiel, sorry.
Thank you, Councillor Faccio. I'm mindful about staying focused on this, but I appreciate that, Councillor Schweinman.
Well, I could go on and on, but in the interest of time,
Yeah.
I say we table the
We-
evacuation route. I don't like it, I don't like it. Doesn't make any sense for Harrison residents. And what I heard last week was, hey, we're doing it for Harrison. And we thought we were doing it for our neighbors.
Okay,
But let's table this. Let's
Table it.
talk about it another time.
I think if I just going to conclude, I think there's probably a consensus on council that in the event of a wildfire risk, we want to be able to efficiently and safely evacuate the whole village. How we do that and whether a second one enhances that safety and efficiency is a question for another day. But today's issue in this summer is we want to be able to, we need to be able to do that. And we have one way in and out right now. So for our immediate strategic priorities in the coming months and a couple of years, without losing sight of a second one, 2 is better than 1. I think Councillor Fascio said in the past, still the bottom line is we need a way and we need to focus on safely and efficiently evacuating should it come to it. Councillor Johnson.
Just one comment. I'm not in favor of the other evacuation route, and I don't think I really have in my mind. We have another route already. We've got a lake and a river.
Yeah.
We have hundreds and hundreds of boats here. That could be organized in case, because we could have a lot of people here, visitors. The reality is, that way you could move tons of people down the river, down to Stehalis or the golf course very safely, because you're on the water.
Yeah.
I mean, we've forgotten that, but that's a big source. And we're chasing rainbows with this other one, and there's no pot of gold.
we may need Mr. Poole back for a workshop, just to talk through our views on secondary routes and, you know, enhancing our ability to evacuate. Maybe we'll have to frame it in a new way. Go ahead.
Strategic plans are not etched in stone forever,
Okay.
right? It's,
Well, obviously.
it's imperative. In fact, it's imperative to regularly review it,
Agreed.
so.
Agreed.
we'll-
Annually, it's good, right? Do exactly what you did, do a bit of an update,
Yeah.
Tyson up here, you tweak it and you update it. Okay, so we're still good with this. I get that this is extremely important. I don't think anyone in this room thinks that that's ever gonna get lost. And certainly even last time that we did this, it was resounding important right across the board, so. Is there anything else? And are we good with this?
I am good with it.
Okay,
Oh, no mention about crime though. I think you had, I liked your idea about
Yeah,
crime reduction.
that's emergency, that could fall under emergency preparedness. I mean, it's emergency related. It could be, I mean, you could easily have a bullet dedicated to that, but our, the community's challenge isn't that right now, and that's not, it's a goal. Obviously, we want to provide a safe neighborhood, a safe community. But that would fall under the public safety realm as well. So, I mean, I think we're, I mean, unless you.
I think the RCMP have sort of advised or summarized or briefed that crime is, in comparison to other places, relatively low. It's not zero, but it's not spiking or anything like that either. So as a strategic priority that we need to get our heads around it, I think it's.
I just wondering.
I don't know if there's anything to tackle necessarily because it's. It's not zero.
I'm just wondering, maybe a statement of continue to work with RCMP to maintain low levels of crime.
It's getting down into the weeds.
Is it weeds?
Yeah.
and
That's
when-
my
Crime prevention strategy.
There's a place for those ideas, some other place in another document, I'm guessing, right?
Well, the RCMP has their strategic plan.
Yeah.
And there's other documents that have obviously high-level impacts to the community.
of which you participate in that plan.
Yes.
You're usually invited. You know, what you could do is when this gets sort of, well, sorted out, I guess, as to really what you plan to do in the next year or two, you can always add this to the plan as
As it-
smaller
as it-
bullets, so
as it
the public
develops.
knows, yeah, this is everything, it literally is. So you nailed the high vision. But now specifically, what are we gonna do first? No different than your plans. Eventually, those plans have to come back and you gotta start doing the priorities in them, right? So your expert in the room is gonna say, hey, according to our plans, we paid so much for, this is what we should be doing. And that's where I think this needs to go, is give it the time to figure out where you're gonna focus. And if it's the short term, because the long term is still gonna take a while, then that's fine. Okay, the next bucket or priority was organizational development. And that one had underneath it, conduct village facilities review and set priorities for village office and other facilities. And was that one of the studies? Yes, it's being done. And update master plans, and again, we heard that.
Yeah.
Is that still valid? Does it need to be-
Oh, sorry, Mr. Mayor, just, you know, when I think of organizational development, I think of HR, I think of people.
Yeah.
And I think of maintaining people, developing people, structures around people, management, and this speaks to facilities and master plans, which is more of a physical realm. And I don't know that, unless we're gonna change organizational development, I don't think the priority actions as stated make sense to me.
That's a good comment. In a lot of cases, you're looking at asset management or infrastructure with these two projects.
Yeah.
I think that was just how we kind of phrased it at the time.
I sort of, I had a question when I saw this, organizational development, I think of like committee structures and council structures and how that an organization as like the village organized, but the priority actions to me are more like It's more like village infrastructure development or village, I think it's just mislabeled, the label, I like the priority actions, they're
Yeah.
good. I find the label not as clear as maybe it could be.
Often it's just labeled infrastructure.
Is it?
Yeah,
I'd be okay with that.
it's probably one of the ones that you see 90% of strategic plans somewhere deal with infrastructure. It's a huge part of your budget.
Okay.
Sewer, water, streets,
Yeah.
your grants probably.
The action items, the priority are
Yeah.
good, and I think continue to be relevant, at least for me. But it's just the organization, I think is the wrong word.
I agree.
Councillor Patrick?
Can we take organisation word out and just leave development?
I think so.
Well, we've got,
Or just infrastructure.
Infrastructure
Yeah.
development. Yeah.
on page 6, we have sustainable development, which covers a lot of the physical things. That is under organizational development. Could be infrastructure development. Maybe we can.
Just change change the label of the strategic priority to infrastructure development.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
We're good?
I think it's a hot topic button, infrastructure, as we build, we need better drains and all over the problem, gas and all that stuff, yeah.
Any comments on the priority actions? Councillor Vital?
I think perhaps it may be wise to also include, initiate new master plans as needed. Where it says update master plans, to me that indicates to me it's just a review of existing ones. But we're also gonna be in the process of new master plans also,
So is it developing or creating or?
creating, developing.
Or actually,
Mhm.
because we're gonna have them developed, so they could be actioned.
Prioritize and action or something like that.
Prioritize.
Because technically this one, as it was identified by council, is basically complete or will be complete once those ones are updated. Because we were only looking at those sort of most recent
Yeah.
master plans. So then we will be looking at more the implementation and planning that around that, I think.
Plan and implement.
We're gonna do improving plans, right? So it's
Yeah.
approving and
Oh, there you go.
approve and execute, implement.
Implementing.
Approve and implement the
Implementing
master plan.
master plan.
So which one are we talking here? You talk about
Update master plans.
the update, okay.
To
So-
change it to
Approve.
approve and implement.
Implementing master plans,
Is that what?
Yeah,
whether
that's
they're
good.
old or new ones.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
that's
like
a
the
nice-
implement word, for sure.
Just a question to Jace, are we close to those new ones being done or?
Both summer.
Okay.
Yeah, summer we should have them complete. Some will be sooner.
I like action items that are things we can tackle in the next months, and year and a half.
Well, and what's nice is when this was done, it initiated
Yeah.
the process.
Yeah.
Approving it now will also approve the plan, assuming it comes with one, right? Approve and implement master plans or
Master
Master
plans.
master plans, right? And does that include the first bullet?
I think so.
I think we
I
keep the
think
first
so.
bullet, or I think the first bullet can stay, or have we done that? I have looked
Staff
at others.
thinks, I don't wanna.
I
Is
don't
this
know.
completed, or
We've
is it
done the
still?
review, it would be set priorities, you could keep it at just set priorities for village office and other facilities.
Is that part of the master plans? I think is
There
Mr.
is,
Poole's
yeah,
question.
Yeah, there is the,
In other words, does it fall under here?
Or is
think
it
so.
captured by that?
I think it's captured by.
We just need one bullet.
I think so.
Yeah.
Approve and implement our master plans is the,
Well, I think what we're gonna, the next stage is, once staff have recommended what's doable in those plans, those are probably gonna be your bullets.
yeah.
Because without those plans, I don't know how we're gonna drive these next bullets. Oh, we're gonna do this, then we're gonna do that. We haven't even seen them. So even though it's one bullet, that's what I'm saying. I think this, and you, which is good, you're doing your plan in-house or the final plan, you can add to it. And every time you do, bring it back to council, approve the changes, repost it on the website so the public knows This is what we're implementing.
I got it, yeah.
So, you know, oh my God, they're only doing one thing, you're doing a bunch of things, like ironically, you guys are a little higher level than I'm used to. Like, this is everything, but there's a bit of danger in there because it's everything. The staff know there's no limits, like you have not restricted anything under this. So they need to come back and focus. It's just, we're not at a stage to do that in this room.
Yeah. CAO Cook.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. So as we move forward, because in our reports to council, that is, we have a section that speaks to where it meets.
Yes,
Where it can fall under, for instance, public safety, and then we can speak to that, and then that'll be a bullet that we could technically add, get
yes.
council's permission to add to the master plan, and just update it throughout the year.
Actually, that's a good point. Just put it in the report.
Mhm.
But because then you're taking what the staff are recommending as they go through the reports, and also they can fund it. But they're still following your overall, hey, let's do those master plans and let's get
Let's do them.
what's in there done.
Yeah.
Okay, no, you're right, the labeling needed to be changed. All right, let's go to the next one, which is sustainable development. And we've got 3 bullets under there: pursue attainable and affordable housing, investigate lead development, and develop a streetscape plan.
CAO Cook.
Thank you, Your Worship. So I do want to speak to this in particular. So staff did investigate the lead development, and it's an initiative that is at this time, from what I understand, is voluntary and quite expensive. So until this type of initiative is looped into the building code and becomes a requirement, it's going to be very difficult for the village to be able to implement. Now, you know, perhaps it's something that we could investigate when we're looking at building a new facility, but the challenge with that is obviously we're trying to make the most cost efficient building, and when you start bringing in these types of initiatives, it can make things very, very expensive. So I just also want to speak to the development of the streetscape plan that is in the works and will be achieved this year. And perhaps if it's council's desire to reword to implement or something like that. But certainly the first bullet, I think that council could easily leave the way it is if they want to reword it a little bit, but that is staff's goal through this, through the facility, the master plan, is to incorporate the attainable, maybe not so much affordable, but senior housing, that kind of thing.
So your suggestion is perhaps the second bullet, the lead development isn't helpful at this point.
Correct.
And is not, shouldn't be an action, priority action.
Mr. Mayor,
Go.
sorry if I may.
Yeah.
The lead, as I understand it, is aspirational. And anything that we build here that's a village facility is going to be for 100 years. And spending an extra $250,000 here and there on better lights or better insulation is a drop in the bucket over 100 years when it looks at savings for utilities and electricity and that sort of thing. Next door at that building, they spent quite a bit of extra money to make it the most inclusive building in BC. And it was aspirational. They were challenged, they were aspirational, they worked hard to get that designation. And I don't know why we would drop lead development as an aspiration of us for our village. We have to be leaders. And I would not want to see it dropped personally. On the other one, the pursuit of attainable and affordable housing, I think we need to be honest with ourselves too. I mean, here we are pushing back on the province so that we don't want density. We don't want R3s all over our place. So is it really something that we're trying to attain? I don't know. I'm not sure that we are. Let's be honest with ourselves. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Schweinmetz, Councillor Patrick.
Well, with respect, this is exactly what we're doing, but our staff explained to us at the beginning with the new plans for the new building. And that's where we approached the province last year in regards to the BC build plan and the minister to see if they would take on the project, they do as well, how do we fund it? And the latest report we got went to the administrator about 2 months ago from a contact from the minister in regards how to apply for that BC build. So we are going into that already.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, I'm not so sure you
So the
understand.
vacant lot that we have
You're
here.
talking about this, well, when I talk about affordable housing, I'm talking about village-wide. We have pushed back on the province, saying we don't want any more R3s, we don't want to be pushed into densifying. And that's the pursuit of affordable housing. I'm not talking about 16 units here on site. I mean, affordable housing in general. I don't know that it's our goal to help young families find affordable housing. Maybe it should be, but let's be honest with ourselves, I don't think the actions that we've taken have led to that.
But we did do.
We're talking about housing in general, I'm not talking about 16 units here on site.
No, we did do a housing study, which is an open house that was carried out by the Whistler people, and it was done an open house a study, and we have that plan in place in regards to housing in Harrison, looking to the future on what we have an inventory at the moment, and looking to build in the future.
And if I may speak to that,
Councillor Seale.
yeah, thank you, Your Worship. There is we will be doing another housing study coming up very shortly here. So that is, as a matter of fact, was part of the discussion with the contract planner, is for him to focus on creating a new housing plan. So.
Good.
Councillor Bowman.
Thank you, Mayor Talon. Perhaps the better wordage would be develop partnerships for affordable and attainable housing. That, you know, I don't want to see the confusion between what the province has put into legislation as opposed to what our goals are with or without that legislation, right? So if we're going to look at pursuing attainable housing, then we all know that we're going to need partnerships in order to do that. Also, on the third point, rather than develop a streetscape plan, I like implementing a streetscape plan.
Okay. I'm hearing a number of ideas and I'm gonna see what's sticking. So going back on Councillor Vital's comment about instead of pursue attainable and affordable housing,
Or develop partnerships
develop partnerships for,
to implement affordable and attainable housing.
for attainable. Am I using the right word?
Either, I think, or
We could.
Is it, you know,
Yes.
it's words of wondering, Councillor Vital, is you're getting at develop partnerships so with some other organization for increasing affordable and attainable housing? Is it increasing?
Yeah,
Is that
that's
what you
right.
mean?
Yes, absolutely.
So it's
Thank you.
partnerships with others to, because we're not gonna,
Yeah,
the housing that's here is here. Hopefully we run our operations efficiently so we don't increase the costs through some local services, but this is new stuff and it's
Thank
trying
you.
to find opportunities to increase.
Yeah.
Develop partnerships to increase affordable and attainable or whatever the word is.
yeah.
Councillor
Thank you,
Jackson.
Worship. It's affordable housing is a political buzzword. When I bought my first house, well, seems like so long ago when I was young, I couldn't afford it. But over the time, we managed to get enough money to put a down payment on it, and the rest is history. If you get outside the Lower Mainland and outside downtown Toronto, housing's affordable. And we cannot manage the market. You know, Canada has X number of a real lack of capital in this country. And that is what's really hurting the housing market, nothing else. We can't, we charge DCCs, we got all sorts of things that cost to the, you know, and the builder has to make a profit on it. So personally, there really isn't much that we can do, except if you want it, you gotta go to high density, and that will destroy this community. I think we just have to stick to what we can do and what the politicians want us to do. That's.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a much larger question of what makes things affordable and what drives costs. Councillor Vital.
Thank you, Mayor Talon. To you to Mr. Poole. I think we are not specifying whether that is ownership or rental. And I think we need to keep in mind that being the resort community that we are, there needs to be housing developed for workers in our tourism industry. I'm happy and would encourage us to leave that under sustainable development. Thank you.
Councillor Swan.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, yeah, don't get me wrong, I agree with what I'm hearing from my fellow councillors. And I'm in favor of leaving it as is. I just want us to reflect and be honest with ourselves. When we get an application for development on Pine or wherever else, we are listening to the people and saying, no, not too much density. No, not higher than 1 story or 2 stories. So, and that's the market forces that you're talking about. We are doing nothing really proactively to increase supply. In fact, we're pushing back on supply of housing. So let's just be honest with ourselves. I agree with that statement, but I don't think we're doing it. And I think we ought to, for the reasons you mentioned, and that sort of thing. So if it's gonna be on here, let's work towards that.
Which is a good point. If you're keeping it here, do you plan to do this? Is it a priority?
I understand the point of these strategic priorities.
Yeah.
It's either a priority or
It's up to it, or it's gonna be.
Councillor Swinevent is encouraging us to be honest with ourselves and realistic from Mr. Jackson. So interesting.
Should we leave it? We're good.
I'm good with leaving it, and I'm sure we'll have this conversation again.
Constantly.
Yes, well, and you know what, these are the challenges, you know, you have these broad actions and priorities, but decisions come to council on a parcel by parcel, lot by lot basis, so it's not losing the sight of the bigger picture when you're looking at specific proposals.
Your second bullet was requested to be removed.
Yeah.
Now, again, there's 2 thoughts here. Removal is one suggestion. The other thing is it a big enough priority under sustainable development, or are there other thoughts?
So help me understand, because I don't know this well. Lead development, is this a certification? Is this like something we would place? I've seen these things in other places. What is that like? What do you get if you're able to say that? What's the benefit?
I believe it's, I don't know the acronym of what LEED means, but it speaks to efficiencies within a building. Long-term, basically heating, cooling, all those different types of things that are environmental impacts to it.
And to get the certification costs some amount of money or something, resources, time to be certified as that, which actually doesn't guarantee that your buildings are that, because I'm certain this building, for example, doesn't meet
I'm pretty sure that's
So
what
that's- so being certified doesn't actually achieve the result of having the more efficient buildings.
It's a guiding policy, I think. It's kind of like it's just I would consider it something over and above the BC building code.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, if I may. I think it's leadership and environmental and efficient design, that's what it stands for. And, you know, I don't need to get lost in the weeds on this. I would, if you want, just go to a word of, you know, best practices, best environmental practices or best building practices in anything that we would do.
Yeah.
So something like that, I'd be satisfied. If you want to remove IED, that, at least pursue environment, best building practices.
Pursue sustainable building,
practice.
Best building.
Something-
best building price, something to that effect.
Not pursue, achieve.
Achieve, realize.
Right?
Councillor Patrick.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe what Councillor Swinburne is quite rightly saying is also written in our OCP part of this. You know, when the development comes forward. There is a section there in regards to what Councillor Swinburne is referring to environmental, certain building codes and all this sort of thing.
Yeah, I think there's a section that is dedicated to it. I wouldn't be able to speak to it without the document.
Mr. Poole is writing.
Well,
Mr. Poole's writing some down below.
I'm writing for a start,
Okay.
because I heard also best practices, and I wasn't sure how to throw it in here. So I just kept it simple, achieve sustainable building practices. Does that cover it, or do we need to adjust it?
I'm fine.
So
with it.
that,
Yeah, as long
covers-
as it's, yeah, I don't want to get lost in the weeds.
And the streetscape plan, if that's good, then the streetscape plan is one we're approving. It's not just developing, we're gonna approve the
We're
streetscape.
gonna implement.
Implement.
Yes.
So approve and implement.
Well, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, sorry, I thought we
Yeah,
were
no, that's
done
okay.
last.
I think develop streetscape plan, we would literally have that under infrastructure development. I would like to see something more, like, what are we trying to accomplish with the streetscape plan? And I think what we're trying to accomplish, besides beautification, is also connectivity through walking and biking and trails and that sort of thing. I think that's our priority when it comes to sustainable development, at least, providing alternate transportation modes like walking and biking. I'm repeating myself, but I think that's our goal.
Active transportation, is that what you're thinking?
Active transportation, less car dependent. We ought to be able to get to a place where everything's within a couple kilometers in this village. We ought to be able to connect all that. And that's how I see a good
The
streetscape plan manifesting itself.
Councillor Wagner?
I think, even though I totally agree with Councillor Schweinbeck, I think that's getting down into the weeds. A little bit. I think just implement a streetscape plan. Because the wording of, if you implement, you're assuming that it's been approved.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think that covers it.
So the streetscape, I'm hearing two things, and I'm not sure they're both. So Councillor
I wanna
Swinburne, if I
connect it.
heard you were talking about connectivity and access through the whole community, and I think the streetscape plan is more the look and feel of what it looks like when you're on the street or the
Yeah,
sidewalk
yeah.
beside the street.
Yeah.
And they're two different things in my mind.
Or maybe they're connected. I just don't-
Yeah, I think they're separate.
Then I'd like to add a separate bullet or propose to add a separate bullet that, if not in this
Yeah.
bullet, at least pays homage to the fact that alternate routes or alternate, whatever.
People
phrasing
powered
you use.
ways of getting around town.
Yes,
But
So-
keep in mind that we also do have an active transportation
Station plan.
master plan
Yes.
that I don't think has been fully implemented
let's put it on
as
there.
of yet.
Let's get it on there then.
I
That's
think
just-
we've got it under infrastructure. Is that one of your plans?
Simon, you
Yeah.
want the update?
Yeah.
We said to approve and implement.
And implement master plan,
Yeah, it would just be the implementation.
The active.
active
So
transportation.
it's still a master plan,
Yeah.
so that falls under that.
And one of the things here, don't think for a moment that staff aren't getting an idea of where you see the priorities in these plans. And trust me, when they come back, I know you're gonna still be looking for what you brought up today. And even if they say it's way too expensive, they will bring it up. I think that's the nice thing, is we don't have to list everything, because we could just page after page. Well, if he gets that, I'm interested in sidewalks that do this. I think the plan is just that, what makes sense and in what order. So when you guys adopt the plan, you basically adopt, you know, the process within it, albeit you might tweak it before you adopt it.
Thank you, Your Worship. I also do want to speak to the fact that this streetscape plan would be, is my goal, and I'm sure that council will agree, that we're focused on Lillooet West, but we also want that continuation on the east side as well. So that will inform future development down east on Lillooet as well.
Councillor Fasher.
Thank you to your worship, thank you for bringing that up. Let's not forget that we still have the complete on Esplanade, from Muddy Waters to Shahada Street.
Oh, well, as a matter of fact, all the way to Spruce.
We can't go any further because of the condominium, but
Yeah.
up to Shahada Street from Muddy Waters has to be probably more simple, just a sidewalk and lights, because the road is in pretty good shape and drainage won't be so extensive as the previous 2 blocks. So that should be part of that. So when you talk about the east side.
Yeah, and we would look at, I'm certain.
No, is that part of the streetscape plan?
Well, it's not, but what we could be doing is, or what we could do is focus that again on the RDS, is because for instance, Lillooet West is the extension of the Esplanade down St. Ellis, now that it's been improved.
Yes.
And then right back out to the Hot Springs Road. And it's no different than the east side if you're heading down east past Memorial Hall and then past Muddy's, and then you could see that previous expansion extended further to the
And
east.
Lillooet is the plans we left for the Ministry of Highways, wasn't it, UBCM?
Yes.
Yes.
So we're good with this?
Yeah.
All right, anything else we wanted to add or no to that section? We're pretty good.
I think we're good. And recognizing the conversation before that our master plans will touch on sustainable development too. When we approve them, we don't lose those ideas.
Okay. The next one you had was healthy, livable community, because it's still pertinent, and projects or actions you have underneath there. Starting with seniors housing.
Resource center. Well, we're looking at that for the plan here, are we not?
That's, I would think that that's something that that council could consider leaving, because that's what we're trying to implement in our.
Parks and Trails, you're working on that now, is that correct?
Correct.
So is it approve and implement,
Just implement. I
or just
think.
implement once we?
So we're leaving seniors housing in there, resource center, parks and trails.
Like,
I would like to leave it in.
What about our facility that we have in mind, our medical facility? Is
Yep.
that beyond this, or is that
Absolutely.
implied? I don't know. Construct and, sorry, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, go, but it's you're getting sort of a general one, like services and promote, encourage services for residents.
And Mr. Mayor, on that line, do we include in this collaborating with neighboring communities, District of Kent, on recreational opportunities? And I think I had mentioned earlier, I'm in favor of full-on integration with recreational and cultural opportunities with Kent, especially if we're going to be helping out with their new facility. the full integration, and I think, that's healthy living, that's giving all kids and all people opportunities to have all the facilities that they have and vice versa.
If I may suggest, if that's your desire, is to, instead of focusing on just the District of Kent, I think it would be partnership of neighboring communities.
And the province.
Or different levels of government, different
We just
government.
say, we just say partnerships
Partnerships, okay.
to, partnerships.
Is this for the third bullet?
We'll be changing the third bullet.
Changing the third bullet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
So,
Change the third bullet to something, if I hear correctly, pursue partnerships for recreational opportunities for residents.
And visitors.
No, visitors come here to recreate. Pursue partnerships
recreational.
for recreational opportunities.
Opportunities, yeah, I like that.
Just gonna let this get down.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry,
Councillor Schweiman.
Mr. Mayor, another thing that came up a lot is access to whatever facilities we have, for instance, Memorial Hall for socializing and recreation. I think we need to make that a priority. I think you mentioned it was increased, the use or the revenue was increased 15% year to year. A lot of people are saying, hey, why isn't that truly a community center that we can truly use, not at their will, but in a much more accessible way than it is now. So I would include that. I also thinking about, and I mentioned it a couple months ago, about this blue zone style living. We're going to be, I think, improving our garden space, and that's a great project. Maybe we find other opportunities for food security or better healthy living and more exercising opportunities, more socializing opportunities, which is important for blue zones. I don't know if it's an aspirational goal, but I just want to throw it out there on the table. I'm thinking loudly, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
That's what it's about.
The recreation to me covers, I mean, when Healthy Communities first started, I was with Dr. McIntosh many moons ago before, God knows when that was. He said, no, it's not just to do with going to the doctor. It's what we're talking about, healthy cycling, walking, recreation, getting out into the fresh air. It's all, that's the recreation, I believe, covers a big area of whether it's to do with whether it's to do with a community hall, or whether it's to do with a function on the beach, or a cycling competition, whatever. That to me is enough. It covers that whole area.
And
Go ahead, Councillor Vine.
thank you, and I'm happy to see the report from that there is increasing use of Memorial Hall. And I perceive that will continue on a regular basis under Christie's leadership. But I do agree that I think pursuing partnerships for recreational opportunities is a high enough level to capture what it is that we're pursuing. So, yeah.
Well, and going forward, this again, as you identify what's important, I think you're gonna add those bullets.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
Fair enough.
You had Parks and Trails Master Plan, we've covered that earlier.
Yeah.
Okay. Is this good? Are we adding? Because we certainly are condensing, but at the same time, we're broadening some of these.
Can I just ask a
Christie.
question? Thank you, Mayor
Questions
Tom. Just from a staff's perspective, I know we do have our roads, bridges, active transportation master plan. And Councillor Schweiman spoke on kind of the importance, and that we've seen that come up a lot in the Parks and Trail master plan. So I almost wonder if it is an overarching kind of goal, that concept of like improving active transportation, if it is worth its own spot potentially in this category. It's also a very controversial topic, bike lanes in particular. So it would be nice for staff if there was a bit of a clear direction from this council right now on this topic, just as we're, looking through finalizing some of those master plans, thinking of ideas for other grant funding opportunities. So I just wanted to share my thoughts. Thank you.
Councillor
Mr.
Simon.
Mayor, if a staff member's saying it and they need it, let's put it on there. I agree. I wanted it on there too, so thank you for supporting me.
You asked for it.
Priority action would it be like prioritize active transportation route planning and connectivity or
How
something?
about promote or develop?
Yeah.
Promote, develops, one of those words, or both. Active transportation.
Yeah, I like
From Ramona to Lillooet.
You don't get a trail?
I don't get mine, mine's just down at the end of the road.
Promote, develop. active-
Priorities?
Do we need anything else?
Development, promote, I think development promote was
Well,
the, because we want to promote them also to it. We're not just build them, we want to promote them to our, in my opinion.
Is that sufficient?
Yeah.
Does that cover the ground?
That's.
Okay.
Wow. We're gonna have bike racks for every council.
I want to see.
Leo's already asking for a plug-in, so. Councillor Tasho.
Quick one, your worship.
Go ahead.
We used to have a nice gentleman here called Marty Wheaton, I think his name was. He was a handicapped gentleman in our Rotary Club, and his intention was to turn Harrison into virtually all biking and walking.
Is that right?
Yeah, this was
Pedestrian.
30 years ago, still hasn't happened.
And we could do, you know, people in the blue zones, they walk all day, hours, and they don't even know they're walking, they're just socializing. It's kind of like when you were campaigning,
What's a
you're,
blue zone? I don't know what this is.
oh, you gotta, I'm sorry, this is a.
We're going.
Okay, another day. I'll put a pin in that one.
So the fifth priority was environmental protection. And underneath that, there was develop a climate action and mitigation plan. We had conducted an environmental review of the Miami River and develop an action plan for a portion of the lagoon.
Councillor Schwimmer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The first bullet there, you know, and I'm big on the environment, so don't get me wrong here, but we have to again be honest with ourselves. How is Harrison Hot Springs 6 square kilometers going to change the climate? So I just want to clarify that, you know, unless we're going to be advocating towards senior levels of government to cut down greenhouse gas and more trees and all that kind of stuff, I don't think we as a village can develop a climate action plan. Although, because it's in our fire and wildfire resiliency and all that sort of thing. So I don't know what actionable things we can have on
I
that.
think there's lots. I think we just bought an electric truck. The fire department's into electric tools. There's lots of little things. CO Cook. I know
That's
you had
exactly what I
hand
was
up.
gonna say.
And Christie, please.
Thank you, Mayor Todd. We were originally going to use some of our local government climate action program funds to develop this ourselves, which I think was how it made it in the plan last time. But then after this was developed, we heard from the Fraser Valley Regional District that they're conducting a regional greenhouse gas inventory and some climate action plans that will include individual data for Harrison Hot Springs. So that RFP closed in June of 2024. And so we're just waiting for more updates from them to best utilize, and they have a bit more of a climate-based team at the FBRD as well to provide some more insights to us. And then, yes, as now you've all touched on too, we definitely do have ways that we are working to improve our own climate action plan.
Greenhouse gas. Councillor Schwimmer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and CEO, for clarifying. I guess I was thinking about it in a different way.
In a bigger level.
It's changing,
Yeah,
you know, we're not the United Nations, but thank you for clarifying. But I will say on that note then, like, do we know our current status of greenhouse gases and how we're gonna reduce them by buying trucks and all that kind of stuff? Is that something we even want to know? Or we just, you know, if we're good, if serious about this, to put a measurement of what we are.
Well, this is our plan, so develop this plan. I guess.
Thank you, Your Worship. We don't have real world numbers. No, we don't. But the way I look at it is every action that this organization takes to implement electric and more efficient equipment helps to that overarching goal. It's very difficult for a community like the one thing about environmental protection and climate action is tree retention and all of these different there's so many items that the council can participate in, and at the staff level that's our focus, is to try and implement and keep in mind that we're trying to be environmentally responsible.
Councillor Patchen.
When Premier Gordon Campbell was in office, we were applauded at UPC and the village as we were the fourth to sign on to the climate plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
2011, I think.
Yeah.
Good. Climate action charter, whatever it's called. So are we keeping it the same or are we tweaking it? Is it still in the developed stage or?
I defer to others here knowing what stage it's at. Is it still an action that we need to develop it?
I think it sounds like it's being developed as we speak, and it's going to be more of a regional approach, which I think is extremely wise, instead of individual communities doing their part and coming up with an overarching plan for the region. I think is and it's still being developed, so I would say that that's something that probably could stay.
I think so, especially if we're gonna get data specific to Harris and.
Councillor Swain.
Thank you. I'm in favor of keeping it in, but again, reflecting and being honest with ourselves is important. And maybe there are some bylaws that we need to change. And if I may, one example, the hotel that we approved before Christmas, I think it's required to have 3 or 4 spots for electric vehicles. And they voluntarily went to 6 or 8, and my numbers could be wrong, but it's exceedingly small. This hotel's gonna be there for 150 years. And in a generation, all those stalls should be electrified, likely. I don't know. We don't know what the technology is going to be, but our own bylaws didn't even reflect the need for more electrification in that. And I think that's where we need to be honest with ourselves and change it. Sorry, thank you.
Well, through our OCP, we do have every development in the greenhouse gas development permit area. So that's now something that will be part of that process.
Councillor Patchen.
It's for your worship the chair mentioned that this will become regional. And I think the one thing, maybe one that could be added to this, but I don't say it has to be, but I think the long-term growth strategy plan for the regional district should be a guiding document with this.
Interesting.
All right, we'll leave it. Conduct an environmental review of the Miami River.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I'm gonna speak in reality now,
Okay.
which a lot of people don't like, is that, if there was no greenhouse gases committed anymore, right now, gone. It'll take over 10,000 years for the greenhouse gas accumulated in the atmosphere to disappear. And that will continue to climate change will continue in that period. And while I really believe we have to make an effort, I think we have to be realistic that unless the whole world, everybody today stops creating all this. And I come from a city which, one of the most polluted in the whole country, and it's still going on. So God bless us. I really.
I lived for 30 years in a place 10,000 years ago was under 2 miles of ice.
Yeah.
So climate has changed. Its change is accelerating, and we
Look
want
outside.
to take.
Yeah.
All right,
I have
about the river.
Is that environmental review complete? Is it still an action item? Christy, let's see.
Thank you, Mayor Talon. This one we talked about at the Environmental Advisory Committee after it was struck in the strategic plan. And the Miami River Streamkeeper Society came in and did a presentation. They do conduct regular tests of the water So I think what staff would appreciate on this one, confirming with CAO Cook, it would be either a bit more clear direction on what an environmental review would consist of, if that is something that is looked for, or perhaps we look to more, I'm not sure, like just increase awareness and communication surrounding best practices in the areas surrounding the Miami River, or increasing partnerships with sharing the Miami River streamkeepers information, or
Okay.
wherever you
The
feel that.
environmental review is a term of art, and that is something huge. So I don't think we're contemplating that, but.
Forgive me, your worship, thank you. And this might be a great opportunity to explore opportunities with Stehos. If there is a desire to enhance the quality of the river. However, that's something that of course would be a long-term goal between communities. But certainly having, I do agree with Christy, that it's a little bit more precise request in that would be appreciated.
Councillor Vital.
Maybe something along the lines of continued engagement with stakeholders regarding health of the Miami River or something along that line.
Councillor Pacho.
But through you, sir, to say what he mentioned, that's the this was carried out many years ago on the Maria Slough on Seabird Island. Where they didn't get salmon spawn going through it, they built whatever they did on the Miami Slough, so that was where the First Nations were involved, you know.
Yeah, they put in a
I
new
think
box
this
culvert.
partnership of other agencies like Councillor Vines just said is the important thing to do, because there's many areas in Chilliwack that have been cleaned up over the years, you know, by going through all the environmental process and volunteers, by contractors to do it. It happened in Vancouver, it was on Global before Christmas, or an area they cleaned up now, fish are going through. So this can be done. It's just a matter of getting all the nuts and bolts into a place to get the project moving. Years ago, we did clean up the Miami and pulled out barbecues and God knows tires and everything else, you know. But it's a difficult thing to do without the right equipment, you know. I mean, this culvert made a big improvement to, as you hear on many occasions, people looking over the bridge there and seeing the salmon now going through, never used to. So that made a big improvement to the flow of the water, because it used to be stuck up there and not get through. So it's, yeah, like Councillor Weiler says, it needs collaboration with the agencies to move that water, but it needs a champion to get this thing, whether it's through the committee or whether it's through the stream keepers. That's a decision that when we come to it, we have to make that decision. Thank you.
Councillor Schweinman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I agree with what's being said. I don't know that we need to spend $100,000 on an environmental review. I think it's more important to establish partnerships who will try and help us maintain the health of this. And that includes District of Kent. I don't think the water in the Miami River, regardless of what we do to our stream banks, is ever going to improve if the dairy farmers in Kent are allowed to mow down their forest right to the water's edge along the upper streams that create our Miami River. So I would encourage us to talk with Kent and maybe even the individual property owners and the province to try to get some sort of a strategy that protects the riparian habitats of the upper streams. Otherwise, we're gonna have a fantastic looking river, but the water quality will always be poor, in my opinion.
Well, thank you, your worship, if I may speak to that, that falls right under the engagement with stakeholders for sure. Yeah, absolutely. No, it's great to hear. Thank you.
Good.
So wording's okay?
Or just instead of in regards, just regarding the health.
Yeah. Oh, active voice.
That work for you?
Yeah, active voice. Councillor Schweinman.
Thank you. I think we're moving on. I just wanted to add something that's been a bit of a passion thing for me as well. And Councillor Jackson mentioned about the greenhouse gases, and I agree. If we stop now, and that's not gonna happen, it's still gonna be a problem. But a lot of villages and a lot of towns are looking at increasing their tree canopy. And we can at least cool down our own urban environment through the use of trees. And when I look along the boulevards along Harrison Hot Springs and a lot of the streets, there's very few trees. And I think it'd be a great goal, an actionable goal, to say, hey, we'd like to double the tree canopy within 5 or 10 years in our village. And that'll cool the summers down, it'll decrease the wind. And I think if we focus on native species, they'll be sustainable and resilient to our climate and wind and all that sort of thing.
Councillor Vital.
Thank you, through you to our CAO. I believe a few years ago, we did initiate a urban tree canopy. Was it a master plan or?
Yeah, urban forest plan.
Urban forest, yeah. So that should be included under our implementing master plans.
Yes, I'm reminded of trees good, and then a few minutes ago, trees bad, wildfire. So I think trees good, trees bad. I get emails regularly, and I open them up, and I know it's about a tree, and I talk to the CIO, is this trees we love or trees we hate? Because they are lovely for shade, and then they can catch on fire. So I think I agree. Trees are wonderful to have, and they do cool all those things. I think it has to be done in concert with fire smarting and those things as well. Yeah. And different trees have different fire risks. So, correct. From what I saw to LA, it looks like but not necessarily plant palm trees, but they seem to produce things that threw sparks. Yeah. I mean, the wind I was shocked. So trees good, yes, but I think it needs to be, there's a bigger picture to make sure what we do for canopies and trees. I'm reluctant to go with a straight doubling goal without understanding the implications for fire smarting and wildfire risk. So it needs to be, it's a big picture question.
In Maui, they're planting trees that virtually won't catch fire.
Yeah, so it's, yes, I think it needs to be done not in isolation is my suggestion.
May I ask then, Mr. Mayor, when was the urban forest plan done, and has any trees been planted since?
So yes and yes. Oh, no, sorry. It was 2023, I believe, it was adopted. And yes, we have planted trees out on the outside of the lagoon with respect to that project. And then we're exploring opportunities or replacements for the ones that fell over recently on the beach. And there have been some planted in our parks as well. And then, of course, throughout development, they would add, they're required to add trees for landscape.
Yeah, all the boulevards and developments have trees. And
there's
Wrangell Park,
two examples along Hot Springs Road.
and Wrangell Park, the ones that came down years ago, you see all the new ones are now really growing along the beach as well. So they were replaced. So we do have a replacement.
Right, but like I said, some villages and towns are saying, hey, they're incentivizing residents to plant a second tree on their boulevards, and these are fire resistant trees. There should be. It's and even along our street here, it looks very, very bare when you drive in. And anyways, I'm trying to make my point. I'd like to see some sort of dedication to tree cover. Maybe implementing our forestry plan. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I'd like to see it there personally. It's a big part of environmental protection.
I would encourage, your worship, through you, to Councillor Schweinman, have you had an opportunity to review the tree master plan?
Yes.
Yeah, I would encourage you to do that and see what the priority items are there. There's high, medium, and low, or moderate, I should say, and low priorities there. We're hearing what you're saying. It's also tree replanting is required through our subdivision development bylaw. And so there's other bylaws that we have that are encouraging replanting. But we hear what you're saying. I think I do agree with Mayor Talon doubling the forest canopy is a goal that wouldn't be attainable. I think it's something that we can aspire to. It's not, I wouldn't look at it as something that we could attain in the next 2 years.
Right, I'm not saying, it could be a 5-year timeline, that sort of thing, but if we commit to a number, it'll get done. Or at least we'll get part of the way there. We'll get more way there than if it's not even on our list. I think I've made my point. I'd like to see it on there. It's up to the councillors to support me.
Thoughts, do you see that as a priority to put up here?
Well,
Go ahead, Councillor Patrick.
through the mayor, what the CEO is just mentioned, I think is a review of the urban plan, and maybe this could be undertaken with the environmental committee, and they can review it and then come back to council. And also, I think Blackwell Associates did a tree inventory for the village with all the different types of trees as well. Obviously, our councillor hasn't seen that, which he should have to review, and he is the chair of that committee for him to review. So I would leave it for the councillor to have these documents and then review it, and then whenever he has the environmental committee meeting, they can discuss it then.
Good. Hopefully we have a meeting soon.
You are on committee of the whole.
We haven't decided that.
That's a recommendation. You
Can we,
just decide.
Can we bring it to the next council meeting as a recommendation that the environmental committee provide some review that urban something or
Urban forest
or
master.
whatever, they need the words, or urban forest master plan.
Yeah, so if the motion is passed currently, it will go to the next council meeting, and then it can be implemented after the minutes of this committee of the whole have been adopted.
Mr. Mayor, you have a motion, I second that. I don't know if we're voting.
Corporate officer did my motion.
I'd like to see us.
Can you repeat it just to make sure we know what we might vote on here, and if I was sufficiently clear when I just sort of talked? Corporate officer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're still in committee of the whole, which means only a mover is required. So my understanding is that the urban forest master plan be referred to the environmental advisory committee. If I could just suggest maybe some wording about what exactly you'd like the environmental advisory committee to do. Does it come back with
Species of trees, is it?
recommendations or?
Review and
Prioritize.
review and
Suggest action.
provides advice on, I don't know,
Providing.
actionable goals or implementation or something to that
Just to
effect.
provide.
That'd be
and
sufficient.
implement-
Provides
Provide,
feedback. Provide feedback.
yeah, I don't think we wanna get right now.
I don't wanna tie the hands
in-
necessarily of the committee, I'd like them to review it and
That's all we want.
depending.
Yeah.
I'd like the
Yeah,
committee
and
to have
offer their
flexibility.
comments
Yeah.
back to council.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Love it.
yeah.
Thank you.
Keep busy.
Corporate officer, could you read that out now that I've changed it 3 times and I know you're writing it so
I can put it on.
I wrote 2 pens and they're both out of ink. That was not very corporate officer. Okay, so motion by Mayor Talent for the urban forest master plan to the environmental advisory committee for review and comment.
Second.
We don't need a second
need
or
a second.
committee of the whole, so I'll call the vote, all in favor, and that passes.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
I'm out of the loop now.
Okay, so I think we've dealt with that one. The only one that's left on this list is development action for the portion of the lagoon. Is that still active? Is it done?
CEO Cook, could you explain what this is? Which portion of the lagoon are we talking about?
Thank you, Your Worship. So technically we have, as part of the lagoon master plan, there was part of the discussion at the previous strategic planning session was to fill in a portion of the lagoon to provide more park space. And that's actually what we will be moving forward with that very shortly. As mentioned before, Jace has been working hard with the ministry to get approval for that, or at least have a discussion about it. So we expect that to be happening coming weeks, probably.
Yeah, shortly once we have scheduled with the contractor.
And what happened to the environmental?
Came from Councillor Jackson originally, I think.
Yeah, this has been one of mine for 20 years.
Okay.
I'm making a lot of progress, time marches on. And Harrison has got very little, we have no land left. But the good thing is, the real positive, we're having more families move here with children. And they're gonna need a place to play and to perhaps have a small baseball field that you could turn into some soccer or something. And that's the ideal place for it.
Okay.
And we've waffled on this forever.
Councillor Vital had a comment. I just don't know.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Talon. For you to the CEO and the group. I support reducing the size of the lagoon. And as you commented, Mayor Talon, that may be the ideal opportunity for a spray park. So I'll look forward to the report that comes from staff. Thank you.
So this action plan, should we change it to update it saying, consider and approve a report for the lagoon? Is that what's coming next?
I think that, like the portion that we're filling in certainly isn't gonna facilitate a baseball field or a parking lot or anything like that. It's rerouting a path around the current parking lot to create more of a separation between the path and the parking lot, to give it more of a kind of a, I guess, environmentally friendly feel. But if it's council's wish to look at a long-term plan for the lagoon, I mean, I think that with the recent improvements that we've seen on the north side of the lagoon, we're providing much more space for people to recreate and bring their families in and enjoy the, you know, either the lakeside or the lagoon side and enjoy. But if it's council's wish to explore further filling in or
Opportunities.
other opportunities for the lagoon, it's up to
Councillor Fascio.
Yeah, thank you. The lagoon area is, I believe, 10 acres, if I remember correctly. So the idea that came from Councillor Jackson was to reduce the size of the water lot and have an area there that could be utilized either whether it be basketball, soccer, whatever for recreation. I think that's where he's coming. And even like Councillor Wyler said, what we discussed, or you discuss, your worship, a spray park, whatever comes with treasure in that, because it is 10 acres, it's very big, that whole area. Obviously, it's the hydrology and how the water's going to be, we can get it out, but there's still water still coming in from that still comes in there, it has to be dealt with. Of course, these days anything can be done with brains out there. So that's the idea. I don't want to speak ahead of Councillor Jackson, but the idea is to reduce the size of the water lot and have an area there for more recreational facilities. Am I correct, sir? Yes.
Thank you, Mayor Talon, and through you to the group. Perhaps a more broad wording would be continue to explore additional uses for the lagoon.
I think it's lagoon area, so it's
Or lagoon
explore
area.
opportunities for enhanced recreation or increasing recreational opportunities around the lagoon
Around the lagoon, well, also,
or in the lagoon.
or I think we need something broader.
You have to reduce, the idea is to reduce the size of the water lot
Okay.
and then build the recreation area.
Okay.
Not use what's already there around the sand that we have.
I think increase usage would cover that.
Maybe CFO
Okay.
could get us out of this.
Yeah. Thank you, Your Worship.
dark hole we've dug.
I think we need to be cautious here because the ability to be able to fill the lagoon in is going to require provincial approval. And we had quite a challenge even to do the work that we're doing here. We're right up against water's edge. To explore further expansion into that water course, And we can, but it'll take resources and time, and it's not something that's gonna be achievable in a 2-year timeline, I can assure you. But certainly an overarching discussion about exploring other opportunities around the lagoon could look at, facilities for kayaks or other facilities that we could provide more opportunities, like a dog park or whatever it is. It's that gives us more of a broader thing to be able to kind of.
I see Councillor Fascio and Councillor Swinebens. I hope one of them has the answer.
Has the environmental permission changed? Because back in 2000, when they drained the lagoon to dredge more sand, they took all the fish out of there, the environment, they got 400, 500, took everything out of there. The culverts were closed off. And then the village was told that time, you won't have to worry about any more environmental permits because there's no the fish coming in, the culverts are closed off, and the sandcastle people are allowed to drain it and dredge for more sand out of there. So is that changed over the years, the environmental permission?
I will say yes and no. Yes, we do require a discussion with the province, because if we learned anything from anything from the thing that happened over at the source, is that any modification of anything requires a notification.
Okay.
Now, yes, we did achieve a level of agreement with the province at the time that when we do work around the lagoon, it doesn't require a new notification every time.
Mhm.
Now, if we were to be constructing or building or filling in, that most likely would require a notification or engagement of the province. Now, I can't speak to whether that's 100% correct or not, but that would be our first step, is to engage our environmental consultant to guide us through that process.
Councillor Swinebens, I think you have a
Thank you.
comment.
This is all great discussion regarding the lagoon, but it doesn't belong under the environmental protection priority. This is a whole other plan. Has nothing to do with the environment, in my opinion. So, but I like this, and I just want to put a motion forward that we ask staff to investigate what it would take to do a lagoon master plan of some sort.
There is one.
Perhaps I can speak to that. We already actually have a lagoon master plan, so that can fall. Now, we could update that.
How
If that's
old is
something. It's from 2019. It was adopted in 2019.
Probably right for review.
Yeah, so we could explore an update to the existing master plan, if I may request, or may suggest.
That's not a bad idea from 2019 to just review, and I think there's a lot of ideas
A lot of ideas.
circulating
Yeah.
around the lagoon and lagoon area, so I'm not opposed to, I don't know if it fits here or some other place, as Councillor Schweinben suggested, but certainly a review of the lagoon master plan would be,
Mr. Mayor, I have a motion in a second.
No, you just.
just,
Thank you.
well, I don't know, does that fit here? I'm less worried about
Yeah.
where it goes versus.
It's
that we
natural
don't use
environment. It is a
It is
natural
a natural
environment.
environment.
So,
We could stay here.
and it's something that technically, when it is complete and reviewed, it could get referred to the environmental committee for their comment.
Yeah, okay. So, does this truncate down? The third bullet now becomes, instead of develop an action plan for a portion of the lagoon, just review the lagoon master plan.
Mhm.
And that's achievable in the next, short while, I would presume,
That's good.
by summer or fall or something. Because
So do we need a resolution at least to direct staff to do this, or we got the point?
it'll be one
It's
of our
recorded. This is-
priority actions.
Oh,
It's one of our priority actions.
Okay.
Mr. Poole, where are we at? And I'm gonna just note the time is 12:02. I know Councillor Vital has other engagements this afternoon, and we'll be losing her participation. Suggestions where we're at, and should we break? Should we come back? Should we try and complete?
Well, we can break. I assume lunch is here. If we go for a short lunch, the only thing we really have left, if there's nothing else to add, is look at goals for each of them. And of course, the goals are already listed.
Yes.
Again, we just gotta revisit them, but that won't take long. But if you want to have the break, you know, we can come back. Just kind of
Yes,
assess.
if I may, yeah, lunch is very flexible, it is on site already, so if we want to continue, we can shorten our lunch, instead of having an hour, we can do it half an hour. That way we're back at 12:30,
Yeah, so half
and
hour.
then we
Yeah.
have, because you have to leave at 1:30.
I think I'll leave at lunch. I don't want to have to interrupt,
It's okay.
like in the afternoon
Okay,
with my leaving,
Okay.
so.
So-
And I'm comfortable. I think we're going in the right direction here,
Okay.
so comfortable being absent for the
Okay.
remainder of it.
So hearing that, I'm gonna suggest we break now for lunch, for 30 minutes, 45 or an hour, what's? 30-minute lunch break? No, I'm open to ideas. It's all good. 30-minute lunch break. We'll reconvene at 12:35.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're back in. We're back. And we're ready for our next, after a brief lunch break today.
Cool.
Floor is yours.
Sounds good. So the timing was right when we went into lunch is, we finished going through those priorities. And really the last thing we have to do now is to look at the goals. So I don't think I've got a slide on that one, but you guys still have your sheets in front of you, and I imagine staff probably have it on their laptops. Where the goals that were decided last time are actually on page 4. So where you've got sustainable development, the goal there was to maintain Harrison Hot Springs as a place we call home. So the last thing we really need to do here is, if we achieve what we said we wanted in our priorities, is this still the correct goal, or do you want to see it tweaked or changed? No different than we
Okay, so based on what we talked about before lunch,
yes,
where do they all go? We were
they
going,
are all.
so under sustainable development.
So let's just go in the first order, because if you flip the page over, it was actually public safety that we dealt with first.
Okay.
Because we started on page 5, because they had all the actions listed. So the goal there is to ensure and enhance public safety. We actually reduced everything down to here.
Okay.
So the question is this still the goal, or do you want to change the goal?
So now, so that's our main goal. Now we're gonna look at tactics. Is that what we're doing?
No,
The other way around. No.
Back to
we are
the
gonna get any deeper than this.
goal statement is to ensure and enhance public safety.
Yes.
Is that right? Is that correct?
Yes, which is right underneath public safety written in that box. That was the goal identified with the last council. So we've got our priority, we've got the action underneath it, which is all encompassing, we agreed. We will likely over time with reports that come to council, give you some direction as to what we should do in terms of mitigating, disaster mitigation and emergency preparedness. Noting that we heard you say you're looking for, evacuation, probably quick evacuation routes, knowing that we're not gonna get that second bypass for a while. So again, the staff have kind of heard that. I would expect to see maybe 3 or 4 bullets coming forward next time we revamp this to dig down into this. That'll be the same when you start going through your master plans. Does that make sense?
What are you asking of us now?
A goal.
A goal.
Yes, and the goal last time was to ensure and enhance public safety. That's why we identified it.
Good.
I think it's accurate.
No, it's a good one,
And it still fits.
And I mean, I think when we did this last time, we were pretty quick and short into keeping the goal focused.
Yeah.
Right, not some long-term visionary goal. But again, that was the desire at the time. So are you still fine with that as the goal?
I am.
Any other
Mark, you
comments?
look confused.
Yeah, I'm not understanding the exercise, honestly.
So the goals on the goal for the public safety goal previously is written as to ensure and enhance public safety. And Mr. Poole is asking us, are we content with that or are we looking for modifications?
And we're at this point of the agenda.
I'd like to, in all of these, improve communication to the community. And maybe that goes hand in hand, but you know, a lot of like people will ask me on the street, hey, what about does that? And I say, oh, there's a plan, but they've never heard of it. So, and I know there's work being done to improve this, but we should maybe add that as
Is that a
goal.
public safety goal?
Well, to ensure and enhance public safety and to communicate, well, through communications.
Yeah, if I
Go
may,
ahead,
Mayor,
let's see you go.
Tom, thank you. I think that's part of the overall program, is communication is part of an evacuation plan. Whether if you're not communicating to your people, then that's like there is gonna be that plan incorporated in that.
So maybe let me take an angle of this. We noted that we agree public safety is one of our 5 priorities. So because it is, what do we plan to achieve out of it? If we made this community as safe as possible, what does that goal look like? And the previous council said to ensure and enhance public safety. That's why we've identified it. I see some nods that they don't see a big change. It could be as simple as that. We're
I
just
think the
kind of-
goal is communications. The goal is an aspect of realizing the goals and priorities. It'll be infused in all of them, I take your point.
I'm just confusing, I'm confusing tactics and goals here, so that's fine.
That's a good point. That's a good point, because I think in all these you want to communicate. One, we're communicating
We don't want to
this
be
meeting today.
have secret.
Yeah.
No way, I'm
You
running.
will
I'm
adopt,
running. You guys
you
are
will
running.
adopt the final product in an open meeting
Yes.
and post it on your website. So everything should be. And as you identify, sorry, I like, where was it? Approve and implement master plans. Remember we said when you go through, you've got 5 there. You're not gonna do, if the plan says there's 30, 40, 50 things in each one, we're not gonna list them all. But through conversations with staff and recommendations and budgets that drive it, you're gonna probably do a half a dozen or more. Those things can be added later as you revise this, because if we guess today what we want to do, we're putting the cart before the horse. We haven't even seen the plan. Okay, so my thought here is you're fine with that goal
The goal is stated.
as stated in the current plan.
Yes, we do it.
Yeah, we did it last time.
It hasn't changed.
This
Council
exercise.
was advising us, but mine remains the same as it was.
That's right.
Okay, the next one was infrastructure development, and we switched the organizational development title.
Yeah.
The goal under that, if you see it, says to provide for the needs of a growing community. That was our goal when we identified this. Is that the same, or do we want to tweak it? Or completely change it?
Yeah, should we have the word in, okay, infrastructure there.
I think it still is accurate.
Yeah.
I think it's complete.
Well, it's
I wouldn't change it.
fine with me.
Good.
Goals are, the goals sort of flow directly from the priority.
Yeah, they're
kinda
not,
go
they're not
hand in hand.
confusing.
No,
by any
no.
means.
They
Like I
kinda
said,
fit
It doesn't have to be painful, it just has to, you have to reconfirm it, right? That's really what you're doing here. You're saying it's there, yeah. Sustainable development, you've got to maintain Harrison Hot Springs as a place we call home.
I'm not so sure about maintain, I think we're trying to improve things. You know, enhance, improve. Through our master plans, trails and connectivity, we're not maintaining, we're developing and improving.
Enhance is a good word. Enhance is a good word.
Yeah, you can swap out enhance, maintain for enhance, quite easily.
Thoughts on enhance? Harrison Hot Springs.
Lots of good wording go along with.
So, yeah, I just don't like to maintain that. We're not gonna maintain, we're gonna do better than maintain. Status quo is not good enough.
So how would you like to word that?
Ensure? Yeah, ensure.
Ensure.
To ensure that Harrison Hot Springs is a place people want to come.
Well, I don't know. I don't have a thesaurus, but something that rhymes with enhance.
Money pins.
Or not rhymes with, analogous.
Enhance,
To enhance, so you're saying to enhance Harrison Hot Springs is the place we call home, but find a better word.
Well, you want to enhance,
Because
you want to enhance the. Improve.
Enrich.
The.
yeah, that's fine.
There's a word for it. It's not coming to me.
I'm not hung up on maintain, because I read it in this sentence as maintaining the Harrison Hot is a place we call home. We're doing that, we're maintaining that by improving things.
Well, to me, it means
Yeah.
maintain, we also improve them.
Yeah, that it
Maybe-
includes everything all these priorities are going to enhance, develop,
Yeah.
improve, whatever, all those good words,
To me,
but it's
it's,
gonna
uh,
remain. The village remains a place we love to call home.
Yeah. I chose this one because stick by it.
So I read it in as, we're not gonna take away. The goal is not to diminish.
Choose this goal last.
Yeah.
Oh, did you? I don't even remember who did it. Okay, so are we or aren't we changing this?
It's in the weeds, I'm fine.
We'll leave it as is that acceptable, councillors?
Councillor Jackson.
No, to me, sustainable is an action word,
Yeah.
and to me, sustainable means, is it financially sustainable?
Hmm.
And if that's our goal in Harrison, well, that's fine with me. But it doesn't relate to maintain Harrison as a place we call home, because they're two different things altogether.
Hmm.
Sustain and maintain, yeah.
Yeah, so in reality, you really need a whole new title for sustainable development, because that's not what we're trying to do.
Hmm.
We can't really make Harrison a sustainable. We can't do it because we do not have the ability to create income, which we saw in that letter from the union, what dire straits communities are.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I know it's semantics, but I'm a wordsmith person.
I think you're looking at the sustainable financial situation. I think sustainable development is something else other than financial. Has to, because financial for sure is one of the pillars, but sustainable environmentally, culturally, socially, it also comes into that.
But that's a given. Everybody around this table
Yeah.
is dedicated to do that.
Yeah.
And I don't think any future council would ever change that. So anyway, I just my take on it.
All right.
Uneasy compromise to leave it and
Yeah.
rely on the priorities and the action items
Yes.
that we've
I
articulated.
agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
The next one then.
Good to leave it or willing to leave it? This one. The next one is healthy livable community, and the goal was to promote and enhance a healthy lifestyle for all ages. Good for change.
Fine with me.
Covers what we talked about.
Yeah, we will.
It's a reasonable articulation of the goals to me. Councillor Schweinmans, you're you're good?
No, I'm not.
Yeah, I know, you were deep in thought, I didn't wanna preempt it.
Thank you.
Okay, good.
All right, last one, environmental protection to restore and protect the environment for future generations.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah, that, you could choose different words, but these were, I think, it does capture the goal.
That could be your best one, yeah. All right, so you guys, I don't know if there's anything that you wanted to add into previous pillars. I mean, as we went through them, I wasn't getting a sense that there was anything further you wanted to add. There were some new ideas brought up, but then I think they ended up in recommendations to review plans, for example, at a future meeting.
Counselor Swamans?
Yeah, a couple things just came to mind. I was lost in all this stuff, but one of our goals, I think, this year was, well, a couple things come to mind, and that is, this might have to be talked about in a closed meeting, but expansion of our parks and land area. So I don't know if that's something to discuss today. And the other one is with regards to the hot springs water. These are, I don't know where they would fit into these, but for me, there'd be a priority.
Exactly, can you be more precise? What is the?
I don't know if we can speak about either of them here today.
Okay.
But I don't want to be forgotten.
I think the two items that you were speaking to could directly fall under the environmental protection with respect to the goal. If you read the goal, it's like for future generations, right? So it's something that's long-term.
Yeah.
It's something that is gonna get explored. There's already wheels in motion in some respects, and potential opportunities. So I think that you know, the master plan, or sorry, the strategic plan as it stands, I think it speaks to that personally.
I think we wanted to pursue those things in any way. Obviously fits under these priorities.
Okay, fair enough. I just want to make sure.
No, there are.
I want to make sure they're on their agenda early this year to discuss.
Yep.
Please.
Okay. So really, we're at the end. So I put in here, finalize the plan January timeline. I mean, you're finalizing it in-house. Most of the stuff is here. And again, you're just revising it, you're tweaking it at best. Giving it a good update, I should also add. So the plan coming forward is that staff, and I believe you did this last time, and I don't want to speak for Tyson and his staff, but they will bring forward those plans that talk about meeting these needs. And I think they already fall into what you're doing now. In many cases, you know, things like those master plans are going to be brought forward. Council needs to review them and then also look at what is actionable out of there and what you think is most important to start moving on. Also in time for your budget. So that really is it. All we did is go through this and revise it in its current form.
This will help me when we get to the budget conversations, knowing what the priorities are and the actions. It'll help focus our budget conversations and prioritize things. I guess that's the point of priorities, I guess.
Well, and you know, as I think your CAO has mentioned, that your reports also note that they, you know, they put on there what strategic priority the item relates to.
Mr. Mayor, I'm just wondering, and maybe this is a question for Tyson or Mr. Poole. This is something that this is a great exercise. I really enjoyed it. Should we be doing this every 6 months or every year? Should we be?
CAO?
Thank you, Your Worship. So it depends. I mean, if council wants to, I would recommend more of a yearly. But usually, and Ron would have more experience in this, but usually when there's a new council that's established, the plan is put together for a 4-year term, and it could be reviewed yearly. Certainly we don't sit down and pick it apart. We just look at what priorities and goals have been met. And just like we did today, as a matter of fact, you know, we highlighted all the items that that the staff has achieved that were under the existing strategic plan. Now we've, you know, broadened the scope a little bit and had a really good discussion with council, so we understand where the desires are now. So with this, we can move forward. I mean, this year is going to be a 2-year plan because the term will end in 26.
Yeah.
So we could look at this again next January, and then it'll be a 2-year window and see where we are at and what we've achieved, and if there's anything that we need to refocus on before next year's budget time.
Councillor Passion.
Because unfortunately, we've lost a year and a half, where we would have been a year and a half ahead of all this.
Oh, for sure.
This plan, so we've lost that, which is now catch-up time, which has been hard on the start. Done a fabulous job. So it's, like I said to you, Mr. Paul, earlier on, this is just through my experiences. If we're lucky enough to maybe do 1 or 2 projects, it would be very, depending on funding, not the ones that we're moving forward with the funding of anything new. We'll be very fortunate to do that, even within a 4-year term, not just a 2-year term. So it's, but it's a great exercise. You have to do these things to put everything prioritized, and in the end, everything comes down to the man in the middle there, Scott. And of course, our staff who apply for funding, it's all to do with money. We can wish for everything we want to wish for, but in the end, all the greatest plans of mice and men, I think is how it goes.
Yes.
There it goes.
Yeah.
Very well said.
All right, Mr. Poole, does that conclude your section of the? Takes us to corporate officer. Where are we on the agenda?
Down to that the committee of the whole rise and report to council, and then a separate motion that council adopt.
Motion to rise from committee of the whole, moved by
Yes, your worship.
Cascio, seconded by Councillor Swinebeds. Discussion on that. All in favor? That passes unanimously. And we need a motion now to, can you use the right words for?
That council adopt the report of the committee of the whole.
Can I have a motion to that effectively?
Second.
Motion. Seconded. And discussion on that motion?
Just curious, sorry, Mr.
Yeah, go
Mayor,
ahead.
what are the next steps then? You've collated a lot of notes today, you've got a lot accomplished, a lot of thought today. What is, are we going to talk about? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
I can speak to that. So all of the information that was compiled by Mr. Poole will be passed to staff, and we'll put it into a document similar to what we have now. But with Keely's magic, it's going to look much more spectacular. And then we'll present it back to council at the earliest convenience for them to adopt the strategic plan.
Further questions, discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the vote on that motion, and that carries unanimously. Which moves us to, if I'm correct on the agenda item 5, questions from the public pertaining to agenda items. Are there any questions from the public today? Yes, please proceed.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, John Allen, 398 Hot Springs Road, just across the road. On the last discussion about council adopt the report of committee of the whole, I find that a bit confusing. Normally, what would happen is that somebody, perhaps the corporate secretary, would prepare a report of what happened at the council committee. Is this a committee of the whole meeting?
Mhm.
Okay, would prepare a report which would include much of the things that the CEO has just mentioned, all of the changes, the new language, et cetera, that report in written form, not in verbal form, will be presented to council at the next council meeting, and council then review that report, and somebody would move that it would be adopted. People would look at it and decide whether or not it accurately reflected the decisions you've made here today, and only then adopt it. What you're really doing here is adopting a report that doesn't exist. You know, we've all had a discussion, people have talked about various issues, things have been changed, but that's not been written down, documented, so that the public in the future, this year, next year, some year in the future, can look at that and say, good, there was a committee of the whole meeting, they talked about all this stuff, they made some decisions, and they have recommended that the following changes be made to the strategic plan and the vision statement, the mission statement. And these are the changes. And this is the new revised planning document, which council will now adopt. So I think that you're rushing your fences here by saying that you're adopting the report, because it isn't actually a report. There needs to be, in my opinion, a written report. And then that should also be expanded out to be a rewrite of all of the objectives and things that you've discussed today. So it is clear to everybody concerned that what you have done is you have updated it, revised it, you've made some changes, and this is what it is today. So I'm asking why you're rushing to have a report adopted when the report doesn't actually exist. Thank you.
Thank you. The report is the contents of the meeting, which is all fresh in our memories, and we've reported out. And I don't see any benefit in delaying the activities of council by weeks or months in order to get this done. We have pressing matters to attend to, such as considering the budget. And this document, when it comes to council at a regular council meeting and is ultimately adopted, will help inform our budget debates. So this is a necessary, and we're doing it in a timely, efficient way. The report is the benefit of the meeting, and we report out from committee of the whole to ourselves as council, which was just done.
But you're ignoring, Mr. Mayor, the interests of the public. The public needs to have a record.
I'm not ignoring anything. Thank you for your questions. This has all been a public meeting today. Committee of the whole was open and public. And we had a very candid, open discussion amongst all councils. Nothing has been hidden. Nothing is in secret. Open meeting, fully documented. The results of this meeting have been reported out, accepted. And ultimately, we will have a new strategic plan that will come to council at a regular council meeting, and we'll proceed from there. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, right.
Is there a motion to adjourn? Oh, is there questions, comments? Thank you. No one on Zoom today? All right. Is there a motion to adjourn? Councilor Marshall, motion seconded by Councilor Schweinbenz this time. Discussion on that, seeing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor? And we're adjourned from this special.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for all your attention today.
Thank you,
Mr. Poole.
Oh, sorry.